What if you're not really awake? Have you ever woken up from a really vivid dream, and for a second, you weren't quite sure if it was real or if you were still dreaming? That strange, floaty feeling where the edges of reality felt blurry? What if that feeling lasted longer? What if it was always there, just hidden in plain sight? This is a deep thought that people have wondered about for thousands of years. It's the idea that what we think is real life, all the things we see, hear, and touch, might not be as solid as it seems. It's not about being crazy or lost. It's about a very old question. How do we really know if we're awake? Think about it like this. Your brain takes in information from your eyes, ears, nose, and skin. It's like a super powerful computer taking in all these signals. Then it creates a picture of the world for you. But what if those signals aren't coming from an outside world, but from somewhere else? What if your brain is just receiving those signals, and it's building a world for you, inside your own mind? For a long time, philosophers who are thinkers who ask big questions about life have explored this. Back in ancient Greece, a philosopher named Plato told a story about people who lived their whole lives chained in a cave. All they could see were shadows on a wall, cast by a fire behind them. They thought these shadows were the only reality. They didn't know there was a whole world outside the cave, or that the real things were actually casting those shadows. This story makes you wonder, are we like the people in the cave, only seeing shadows of a deeper reality? In modern times, some people think about something called the simulation hypothesis. This sounds really science fiction, but it's a way to think about this question. Imagine our world is like a super advanced video game. Not a game you play on a screen, but one that feels completely real, where you are one of the characters. In this idea, everything around us, every tree, every building, every person, is just code. Like the characters in a video game don't know they're in a game, maybe we don't know either. Think about virtual reality games. When you put on a VR headset, you step into a whole new world. You can walk around, pick up objects, talk to other characters, and it feels incredibly real while you're playing. Your brain believes it's real because the signals it's getting are very convincing. What if something like that is happening all the time, for all of us? This isn't meant to make you worried or confused. It's just a thought to gently nudge your mind. If we can't truly know if we're awake or dreaming, or if this world is a simulation or something else entirely, what does that mean for how we live? It means that every moment you experience, every laugh you share, every challenge you face is incredibly precious. Because whether it's a dream or the absolute truth, it's your experience. It's the journey you're on. It reminds us to be curious, to look closely at the world, and to appreciate the feeling of being alive, right here, right now, in this moment, whatever it truly is. And maybe, just maybe, that's all we really need to know. The giant empty space all around us. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, far away from city lights, and just felt small? Like really, really small? It's a feeling many of us get, standing under all those tiny pinpricks of light. We see stars, planets, maybe even a blurry galaxy, if our eyes are good. But here's the thing. Most of what you're looking at isn't stars or planets at all. Most of it is just empty. Think about it this way. Everything we know, everything we can touch, is made of tiny, tiny pieces called atoms. And guess what? Even inside those atoms, there's a whole lot of nothing. Imagine an atom as a sports stadium. The very center, the nucleus, would be like a tiny marble in the middle of the field. The electrons, which spin around it, would be like tiny dust motes way out in the stands. All the rest? It's just empty space. Your hand, your desk, even the air you breathe. It's all mostly empty space, just packed together tightly by forces we don't often think about. And that's just on the tiny scale. Now, zoom way, way out. Look at our Earth, then our solar system, then our galaxy, the Milky Way. And then, beyond that, billions and billions of other galaxies. It's hard to even imagine that many. But between our solar system and the next star, there's almost nothing. Between our galaxy and the next galaxy, the same story. Vast, mind-boggling amounts of nothing. This isn't just a little bit of empty space, like an empty room. This is the biggest empty space you can possibly imagine, stretching out further than we can even see with our most powerful telescopes. For thousands of years, people have looked up at that sky and wondered. Ancient thinkers, long before telescopes, knew there was something immense out there. They filled the sky with gods and stories, trying to make sense of the vastness. Later, scientists and astronomers, like Galileo centuries ago, started using telescopes and saw things no one had seen before. More stars, moons orbiting other planets. And with every new discovery, the universe seemed to get bigger, and the amount of empty space in it seemed to grow too. It made them think about our place in all of it. If everything is so vast and empty, what does that mean for us, tiny beings on a small planet? Sometimes, the idea of all that emptiness can feel a little bit overwhelming. Like when you're the only one left in a huge school hallway after everyone else has gone home, or standing in an enormous empty stadium. That feeling of being tiny in a big empty place. But the universe's emptiness is even grander than that. Imagine if all the stars in our entire galaxy, the Milky Way, were just grains of sand. Even then, the space between those grains of sand would be enormous. It's not just a lot of space. It's almost all space. The stars, the planets, the dust clouds, they're just tiny specks floating in a cosmic ocean of nothingness. But here's what's cool about it. That giant empty space isn't scary. It's just there. It holds everything. It allows for everything to exist. If there wasn't all that empty space, things would just smash into each other. Planets wouldn't orbit peacefully, and stars wouldn't shine steadily. We wouldn't be here. The very emptiness that can make us feel so small is also what makes existence possible. It's the quiet backdrop to all the amazing, colorful, noisy things happening in the universe. So, when you think about it, the empty space isn't really empty at all. It's full of potential. It's full of possibilities. It means there's always more to explore, more to learn. It reminds us that even though we are tiny, we are part of something unimaginably huge and profound. And that's not something to be afraid of. It's something to wonder at. It's a quiet truth that can actually make you feel more connected, knowing that your tiny existence is part of this grand, silent, beautiful emptiness that stretches forever. It's not about being lost in the void, but about being wonderfully, uniquely present within it. Are we just tiny dots in a huge picture? Have you ever looked up at the night sky, far away from city lights? Maybe you saw thousands of stars, tiny and shimmering. And as you looked, did you ever wonder, what am I in all of this? Am I just a tiny speck? This feeling, this question about our place in the universe, is something people have thought about for thousands of years. It's about understanding our scale, how big or small we are compared to everything else. Here's the thing. Compared to the whole universe, yes, we are incredibly tiny. Think about it. Our planet, Earth, is a big place for us. It has vast oceans, towering mountains, and busy cities. But Earth itself is just one of 8 planets orbiting our Sunday. And our Sunday? It's just one star among hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy, the Milky Way. Now, imagine that the Milky Way is just one galaxy among billions of other galaxies, all floating in an endlessly expanding universe. When you think like that, our planet, our country, even you standing right here, seem incredibly small. For a long time, people believed that Earth was the center of everything. They thought the sun, moon, and stars all revolved around us. That made humans feel really important, like the universe was made just for us. But then, smart thinkers and scientists like Nicolaus Copernicus and Galileo Galilei started looking at the sky differently. They used math and telescopes to show us that Earth actually orbits the sun, and that our Sunday is just one star in a much bigger system. This idea was a huge change. It made people realize that maybe we weren't the center after all. It was a humbling thought, making us feel like a tiny dot in a cosmic dance. To help you picture this, imagine you have a giant world map. You can find your city, then zoom into your street, then your house. When you're zoomed in, your house looks big and important. But then, slowly, zoom out. Your street gets smaller, then your city, then your state, then your entire country. Soon, your house is just a tiny speck you can't even see on the map of the whole world. Now, imagine that map of the world is just one tiny grain of sand on an endless beach, and that beach is just one tiny bit of a massive, unknown planet. And that planet is just one of many in a galaxy. And that galaxy is just one of many in the universe. That's a bit like our size compared to the entire universe. We are truly, truly small, and that's why it matters. This feeling of being a tiny dot can sometimes make us feel a little bit insignificant. Like our problems or our dreams don't matter much in the grand scheme of things. But here's what I found. Realizing how vast the universe is can also be amazing. It makes our own existence, our consciousness, our ability to think and feel and wonder, feel incredibly special. Even if we are tiny dots, we are dots that can look out at the stars and ask big questions. We are dots that can create, love, learn, and imagine. The universe is huge, yes, but each of us holds our own universe of thoughts and feelings inside us. And in that way, each tiny dot is a whole world. So while we might be small in the grand cosmic picture, our own lives, right here, right now, are everything to us, and that makes them incredibly precious. The daytime stops making sense. Have you ever wondered why some days at school feel like they last forever, stretching on, while a whole weekend of fun flies by faster than you can blink? Or why waiting for a package you really want feels like a year, but playing your favorite video game makes hours vanish into thin air? Here's the thing. We often think of time as this steady, unchanging river, always flowing at the same speed. Tick-tock, tick-tock, 1 second after another, exactly the same length. But what if that's not exactly true? What if the way we feel time, the way we experience it, changes all the time? This is where time starts to feel a little weird, a little less solid. It's when the clock on the wall says one thing, but your own inner clock says something completely different. For thousands of years, people have scratched their heads about this. Ancient thinkers and wise people of every age have looked up at the stars and down at their hands, trying to figure out what time really is. Is it something out there, a force of nature like gravity? Or is it something inside us, a trick of our minds? Think about it this way. When you're super bored, maybe stuck in a waiting room with nothing to do, every minute feels like 10. The clock barely moves. Your brain is craving new information, new things to pay attention to. Since it's not getting any, it feels like it's just dragging out the moment, making it last. It's almost like your mind is hitting the slow motion button. But then, imagine you're doing something you absolutely love. Maybe drawing, or playing a sport, or chatting with your best friends. Suddenly, you look up and hours have passed. Where did they go? In these moments, your brain is busy. It's engaged. It's happy. It's taking in so much cool stuff. So much fun. It doesn't have time to notice the individual ticks of the clock. It's like your mind hits the fast-forward button without you even realizing it. This isn't just a feeling. Our brains actually process time differently, depending on what we're focused on, or if we're in danger, or if we're just relaxed. When you're scared, for instance, a few seconds can feel like an eternity because your brain is rapidly trying to gather every bit of information to keep you safe. So, your memory of those moments is incredibly detailed, making the short time seem long. So, the daytime stops making sense isn't a single day on the calendar. It's every day, really. It's the constant dance between the steady, measured time on the clock and the flexible, flowing time inside your head. It's a quiet truth that time isn't just something that passes. It's something we make pass by how we live and what we pay attention to. And that's why it matters. It means that while you can't stop the clock, you can change how those moments feel to you. It reminds us to think about how we spend our hours, because the moments we fill with joy or curiosity are the ones that seem to vanish too soon, making life feel richer and deeper, even when it's flying by. Why your life feels like a dream sometimes. Have you ever had a moment, maybe when you're walking home from school or sitting in your room and everything just feels a little bit off? Like the world around you is real, but also not quite real? It's like you're watching a movie, and you're in it, but you're also somehow outside of it, looking in. That strange feeling, where your own life feels a bit like a dream, is something many people experience. It's not just you. Here's the thing. Our brains are amazing, super complex machines. Most of the time, they do a great job of showing us the world exactly as it is. But sometimes, when things get overwhelming, or confusing, or even just a bit boring, your brain might switch into a different mode. This mode can make everything seem fuzzy, distant, or even unreal. It's a bit like when your computer has too many tabs open and starts running slowly, or when you're really tired and your vision gets blurry. Your brain is trying to handle a lot, and sometimes it disconnects just a little bit. Think about it like this. Imagine you're playing a really intense video game. You're super focused, dodging enemies, solving puzzles. You feel like you're in the game. But then, maybe you get stuck on a hard level, or you've been playing for hours, and suddenly, you notice your hands on the controller, the screen in front of you, the room you're in. The game still looks real, but now you also see it as just a game, separate from you. That tiny moment of stepping back, that's a bit like what happens when life feels like a dream. You're still living it, but your brain just zooms out a little. People have been wondering about this feeling for thousands of years. Long, long ago, even ancient Greek thinkers asked big questions like, how do we know if what we're seeing is truly real, or just a clever illusion? They would imagine scenarios, like people living in a cave, only ever seeing shadows of things, and believing those shadows were the real world. For them, this feeling of unreality wasn't a problem to fix, but a deep mystery to think about. They understood that our minds can play tricks, and that sometimes what seems solid and real might just be how our brain is making sense of things. Sometimes this feeling happens when you're really stressed out. If you have a big test coming up, or you're worried about something important, your brain might try to protect you. It might create a little distance, making things feel less intense. It's like putting a filter over your vision, making the world seem a bit softer, a bit less sharp. This can be your brain's way of saying, okay, this is too much right now, let's take a tiny step back. It's a defense mechanism, a quiet way your mind tries to cope. It can also happen if you're super tired, or if your routine changes a lot, or even just when you're bored and your mind starts wandering. Imagine looking at an old photo of yourself, maybe from when you were very young. It's you, and you know it's a real moment that happened, but it also feels so distant, almost like it happened to someone else. That sense of distance from a memory can sometimes spill over into how we feel about the present. So, if your life feels like a dream sometimes, know that it's a normal human experience. It's your brain doing what brains do, trying to make sense of a complicated world, or sometimes just taking a moment to process. It doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. In fact, it can be a gentle reminder to pay closer attention to the moments that do feel completely real, completely solid. It can make you appreciate those clear, sharp moments even more, helping you feel truly present in your own life, right here, right now. It's a quiet whisper from your mind, inviting you to simply be. The universe doesn't care if you're ready. Have you ever felt like life just keeps moving, even when you wish it would pause? Like the clock keeps ticking, or the seasons keep changing, no matter how you feel about it? That feeling points to a big idea, one that can be a little tough to think about sometimes. It's the idea that the universe, and all the big things in it, don't really care if you're prepared for what's coming. Here's the thing. The universe isn't a person with feelings. It doesn't have emotions like we do. It doesn't plan things based on whether we're happy or sad, or whether we finished our homework. It just is. Natural laws, like gravity, always work. The earth keeps spinning. Stars are born and die. These things happen because of how the universe works, not because someone or something decided it was the perfect time for us. Think about people who lived a very long time ago, even thousands of years before us. They watched the sun rise and set every single day. They saw the moon go through its phases. They knew winter would always follow autumn, and spring would always come after winter. They learned that the world had its own rhythm, its own schedule. It didn't ask them if they were ready for the cold. or if they had enough food stored for the long nights. It just happened. They understood that the forces of nature, like a big storm or a flood, didn't wait for an invitation. They just arrived. And people learned to live with that truth. They learned to build stronger homes and find ways to get food even in harsh times. They adapted. Let's think about something you might know well. A video game. Imagine you're playing a game, and there's a timer counting down. That timer doesn't stop just because you're stuck on a puzzle, or because you haven't found the right weapon yet. It keeps going. The boss monster doesn't wait for you to level up enough or feel brave enough to face it. It appears when it's programmed to appear. If you're not ready, you might get surprised, or even lose a life. The game has its own rules, and it follows them, no matter what you're hoping for. Life is kind of like that game in some ways. Time keeps moving. We get older. Changes happen around us, big and small. Maybe a friend moves away, or a new school year starts, or something unexpected happens in the world. These things don't pause to check if you've got everything figured out, or if you feel brave enough to handle them. They simply occur. Now, this idea might sound a little heavy, or even a bit sad. It can make you feel small, like your feelings don't matter. But here's a different way to look at it. Knowing that the universe doesn't care can actually be freeing. It means you don't have to carry the huge weight of trying to control everything. You can't stop time, or change the weather, or make big world events not happen, and that's okay. What you can control is how you respond to things. When the game's timer is counting down, you can choose to try your best. You can learn from what happens, whether it's good or tough. You can choose to adapt, just like people did long ago when facing the changing seasons. Accepting that some things are just going to happen, no matter what, can help you focus your energy on what you can do, grow, learn, and find your own way through whatever comes. It means finding peace in the things you cannot change, and finding strength in the things you can. Every second, you're older than before. Have you ever thought about how time works? Not just the clock on the wall, but how it really feels inside you? Like, even right now, as you listen to these words, something subtle is happening. Here's the thing about time, it never stops. It's not like a video game you can pause, or a book you can close and pick up later. Every second, every breath, every blink, you are moving forward. You are literally, bit by bit, getting older. Not just on your birthday, but all the time. It's like you're on a conveyor belt that's always moving, and you can't step off. One moment passes, and then another. And with each one, the you from the second before is now a little bit further in the past. It means that the person you were a minute ago, or even a second ago, is gone. You are always becoming new, always moving away from your past self. Humans have always known this, deep down. From the very first people who watched the sun rise and set, they saw how days turned into nights, and seasons changed. They noticed how babies grew into children, then adults, then elders. Ancient thinkers, long before smartwatches or even proper clocks, understood this flow. They knew that life isn't standing still. They might not have had fancy words for it, but they felt the steady march of time. Philosophers, people who think about big questions, often talked about how everything is always changing. They believed that the only constant thing is change itself. It's a core idea. Nothing stays exactly the same. You see a flower bloom and then wilt. You see a river always flowing, never the same water twice. It's a natural law of the universe, this constant forward motion. Think about your favorite t-shirt. Maybe you got it a year ago. It fit perfectly then. But now, maybe it's a little snug, or it has a small hole, or the color has faded a bit. That t-shirt has also aged with you. Or think about your dog or cat. When you first got them, they were tiny, playful puppies or kittens. Now they're bigger, maybe a bit calmer, or they have a few gray hairs. Every day they've gotten a little older, just like you. It's happening inside you too, in ways you can't see. Your cells are constantly changing. Old ones dying, new ones forming. Your brain is learning new things, making new connections, even when you're just sitting there. You're not just getting taller or stronger. you're also building up memories, experiences, and a deeper understanding of the world. Every time you learn something new in school, or laugh with a friend, or even just watch a cloud pass by, you're adding to who you are, and that moment is now part of your past. And you're a moment older. So, it's not just about a big jump from one age to the next on your birthday. It's this endless, tiny step forward, second by second. Imagine a sand timer, but instead of the sand running out, it's always adding more sand to the pile, representing new moments. Or think of it like a journey on a long road. You never stop walking. You might pause to look around, but the road beneath your feet is always passing, and you're always moving forward along it. This means every single moment counts. The now is always becoming the then, and the future is always becoming the now. It's a constant, steady hum of time moving on. This isn't a scary thought. It's just how things are. It's the rhythm of life itself. What does this mean for you, right now, as you listen? It means that every second is precious. Not in a pressured, you must do something important way, but in a quiet, important way. It means the present moment is the only one you truly have. The past is gone, and the future isn't here yet. So, being aware of this constant movement can help you notice things more. It can help you appreciate the small moments. A sunny day, a good song, a conversation with a friend. Because even those simple moments are part of your journey forward, making you a little bit older, a little bit wiser, a little bit more experienced. It's a gentle reminder that life is a continuous process of becoming. And every second, you are beautifully and uniquely becoming more of who you are meant to be. So, when you try to sleep tonight, maybe don't worry about the minutes ticking by. Instead, just feel the quiet hum of life, always moving, always growing, always becoming. And know that you are part of that amazing flow. Is your future already written down? Have you ever stopped to really think about it? About your life? About what you'll do tomorrow? Or next year? Or way into the future? Do you ever wonder if all of it, every single laugh and every single challenge, is already set in stone? Is your future like a story that's already been written, chapter by chapter, before you even open the book? This idea has been around for a very long time, stretching back thousands of years. People have always looked at the world and tried to understand why things happen the way they do. Some have believed that everything we experience, every choice we make, every event that unfolds, is simply the result of something that came before it. It's like a long, unbroken chain of cause and effect, where one thing always leads to the next, in a path that was always destined to happen. Think about a set of dominoes. You line them up carefully, one after another. When you push the first one, it falls into the next, and then that one pushes the next, and so on, until the very last domino tumbles down. If you know exactly how the dominoes are set up, you can predict with perfect certainty what will happen. You know which ones will fall, and in what order. There's no surprise. The whole event is determined from the moment the first domino is nudged. Now, imagine if the entire universe worked like those dominoes. If every event, every thought, every feeling was just the natural and unavoidable outcome of all the events, thoughts, and feelings that came before it. If the whole universe is just one gigantic, incredibly complex domino chain, then every moment, including your future, would already be fixed. You wouldn't really be choosing what to do next, because your choice would just be the next domino in the sequence, pushed by all the ones that came before. It's a bit like watching a movie where the script is already finished. The actors follow the script. They don't make up new lines or decide to take a different path halfway through. This can feel a little strange, right? Because here's the thing. We feel like we're making choices all the time. You decided what clothes to wear this morning. You picked what to eat for lunch. You chose to read these words. That feeling of making a decision, of having a say in what happens next, is incredibly powerful and real to us. So, if everything is already written, does that mean our feelings of choice are just an illusion, a trick our minds play on us? No one really has a simple answer to this big question. Some thinkers have said that yes, everything is determined. even if we don't realize it. Others strongly believe that we have something called free will, which means we truly can choose our own paths, moment by moment. And then there are others who think it might be a mix of both, a mysterious dance between what's planned and what we create ourselves. So, is your future already written down? Maybe, or maybe not. The amazing truth is that we're living it right now, right this very second. We're feeling the moments, making what feel like decisions, and experiencing the world around us. Perhaps the real wonder isn't about whether the script exists, but about how we choose to live out this incredible, unfolding story, whatever its true nature may be. And that's something worth thinking about. The secret life of your own mind. Have you ever stopped to think about what your mind is doing when you're not even trying to think? Like, right now. You're listening, sure, but what else is going on in there? What if there's a whole secret world inside your head? A bustling city of thoughts and feelings and memories that you're not always aware of. This hidden world is what some people call the unconscious or subconscious mind. It's a part of you that's always working, always collecting information, and always making sense of the world, often without you even realizing it. For a very long time, humans have been curious about this idea. Ancient philosophers, thinkers from thousands of years ago, would watch people dream and wonder where those strange stories came from. They looked at sudden feelings, or memories that popped up out of nowhere, and asked, what part of us holds these things when we're not thinking about them? Later, people like Sigmund Freud, a famous thinker from the past, started to really explore this idea. He believed that much of what drives user habits, our fears, even our big decisions comes from deep, hidden parts of our minds. It's like an iceberg, where only a tiny bit is visible above the water, and a huge, secret part is hidden below. Your conscious mind, the part you use to make plans or solve math problems, is just the tip. Here's the thing. This secret mind is always on. It's like the powerful operating system of a computer, working in the background, making sure everything runs smoothly even when you're just looking at the screen. Think about riding a bike. When you first learned, you had to really concentrate on every little thing, keeping your balance, pedaling, steering, but after a while, you just hop on and go. You don't consciously think, okay, left foot up, right foot down, lean slightly. Your mind does all that for you automatically. It stored those movements and made them a habit in that secret part of your brain. Or think about a song you haven't heard in years. Maybe it was a popular song when you were really young. Then, one day, it plays on the radio, and suddenly you know all the words, every single one, even if you never sat down and tried to memorize them. Where were those words stored all that time? They were tucked away in the secret shelves of your mind, waiting to be pulled out. Your mind was paying attention, even when you weren't trying to learn. It was collecting and keeping information, silently, constantly. This hidden life of your mind is amazing. It stores your deepest memories, shapes your dreams, and influences your feelings and choices in ways you might not even notice. It's a vast, rich landscape inside you, always changing, always growing, and just knowing that it's there, quietly working, can make you feel more connected to yourself, more aware of the wonderful mystery that is being you. It's a reminder that you are far deeper, far more complex, and far more wondrous than you might ever imagine. And that's a pretty calm thought to end your day with. What happens after everything ends? Have you ever stopped to think about what happens after a really big ending? Not just the end of a school day, or the last episode of your favorite show, but something much bigger. What about the end of the entire universe? What happens when everything, literally, everything, comes to an end? It's a thought that can feel heavy, like a really thick blanket on a hot day. For a long time, people have asked this very question. Imagine ancient thinkers, sitting under a sky full of stars, wondering about the same thing. They looked at the sun rising and setting, the seasons changing, and life being born and then fading away. Everything seemed to follow a pattern, a cycle. So, they wondered, if things have a beginning and a middle, do they always have an end? And if they do, then what? Does it just disappear? Does it start over somewhere else? It's a big mystery, even now. Scientists who study the stars and planets have theories about how our universe started, something called the Big Bang. It was a massive expansion from a tiny, hot point. And just like things that expand, they also wonder if it will eventually stop expanding, or even shrink back down. Some scientists think the universe might just keep expanding forever, getting colder and colder, until everything is so spread out and dark that nothing much happens anymore. Think of it like a really big, giant room that keeps getting bigger. Eventually, all the heat and light will just fade away, spread too thin to matter. This idea is sometimes called heat death. It sounds a bit scary, but it's just one idea. Here's the thing. No one actually knows for sure. It's like building a giant sandcastle at the beach. You work really hard, you make it perfect, with towers and walls. But eventually, the tide comes in. The waves wash over it, and the sandcastle changes. It doesn't really vanish, does it? The sand is still there, just not in the shape of a castle. Or think about a really good story you read. The last page comes, and the story ends. But the characters, the feelings, the ideas from that story, they stay with you, right? They don't just disappear from your mind. So, when we talk about everything ending, it might not mean everything just blinking out of existence. It could mean things changing into something else, something we can't even imagine right now. It reminds us that things are always moving, always transforming. The atoms that make up your hand might have once been part of a star that exploded billions of years ago. And after you're gone, those same atoms will go on to be part of something new. This thought isn't meant to make you feel small or worried. Instead, it can actually make you feel a bit more connected to everything. If the universe is always changing, and we are part of that change, then every moment we have now is special. We get to experience this amazing, wild journey, right here, right now. It makes us think about what we do with our time, how we live, and the connections we make. Because even if things eventually fade or transform, the experiences and the good things we put out into the world, those truly matter in the moments we have. The weird feeling that you've been here before. Have you ever walked into a new place or had a conversation, and suddenly a strange wave washes over you? It's not just a memory. It's this weird, strong feeling that you've lived this exact moment before. Every tiny detail feels familiar, even though your brain tells you it's impossible. Like you're replaying a scene you've already seen, or stepping on ground you've definitely walked, but you can't quite remember when or how. This odd, unsettling, yet sometimes comforting feeling has a name. Déjà vu. It's French, and it simply means already seen. For hundreds of years, people have wondered about this feeling. Back in ancient times, some thought it was a glimpse of a past life, like your soul remembering something it had done before. Others believed it was a message from a dream, or maybe even a hint about the future. It felt mystical, almost magical, because it seemed to break the rules of time. How could you remember something that hadn't happened yet, or something that you were experiencing for the very first time? It's a moment where your mind plays a trick on you, making the present feel like the past. Think about it like this. Imagine you're building a puzzle. You've got all the pieces spread out. Sometimes your brain is like a super fast puzzle builder. It grabs a piece, then another, and snaps them together. But sometimes, maybe it's just a tiny bit too fast. Let's say you're looking at a new picture, like a photo on a wall you've never seen before. For a split second, your brain might process that picture, but it puts the memory of seeing it into the wrong folder in your mind. Maybe the old memories folder instead of the new experiences one. So when you look at it again, just a moment later, it feels like you've seen it before, even though you just did. Your brain tricked itself. Science has tried to explain déjà vu in a few ways. One idea is that it's a tiny glitch in your brain's memory system. Your brain takes in tons of information every second. Sometimes, when it's processing a new experience, it might briefly get confused. It's like when your computer takes a second to load a new page, and for a blink, it looks like one you've already visited. Another theory suggests it happens when two very similar experiences trigger each other. You might be in a new room, but a specific arrangement of furniture or a certain smell reminds you, just enough, of an old, forgotten memory, and your brain tries to connect the dots making it feel like the whole scene is familiar. It's also been linked to how our brains store memories. Our minds don't always record everything perfectly. Sometimes, a new experience is so similar to something you've only seen or heard about briefly, maybe in a movie, a book, or even a fleeting thought, that your brain mistakenly matches them. It's not a sign that you're remembering a past life or seeing the future. It's usually just your amazing brain working at super speed, sometimes a little too fast, and mixing things up for a fraction of a second. So, the next time you feel that weird, familiar flicker, that sense of been here, done that, don't be alarmed. It's a common human experience. It's just your brain, that incredible organ, reminding you how complex and mysterious it is. It shows us that our perception of time and memory isn't always a straight line. Sometimes it bends and twists in fascinating ways. And that, in itself, is a pretty deep thought to ponder as you drift off to sleep. It's a reminder that even the most ordinary moments can hold a touch of the extraordinary, tucked away in the workings of our own minds. Why most things don't last forever. Have you ever stopped to think about why your favorite shoes eventually wear out? Or why a beautiful summer day always turns into night? It seems like almost everything around us, from the smallest toy to the biggest mountain, changes over time. Nothing stays exactly the same forever. Why is that? Here's the thing. Most everything in the universe is always in motion, always changing. Think of it like a river. Even if you stand on the bank, watching the water flow by, the water you see at one moment is never the same water you see the next. It's always moving, always new. This idea that everything is constantly changing and nothing truly lasts forever in its current form is a very old and deep truth. People have thought about this for thousands of years. Ancient thinkers, like the philosophers in Old Greece or wise teachers in Eastern lands, looked at the world and saw this constant flow. They understood that things are born, they grow, they live, and then they change or end. This isn't about being sad. It's just how the world works. It's built into the very fabric of everything. Think about a favorite t-shirt you have. When it's new, it's crisp and bright. You wear it, wash it, wear it again. Over time, it gets softer. Maybe the colors fade a little, or a tiny hole appears. It's still your shirt, and you might still love it. But it's not exactly the same as it was on day one. It has changed. It has worn out. That's a simple example of why things don't last forever. Things break down, they get used up, or they transform. This principle isn't just about clothes or sandcastles on a beach getting washed away by the tide. It applies to bigger things too. Even huge, solid mountains, which seem like they've been there forever and will be there forever, are actually slowly changing. Wind and rain chip away at them, bit by bit, over millions of years. This slow wearing down is a natural process. And think about the sun, our giant star in the sky. It shines so brightly, giving us light and warmth. But even the sun is slowly using up its fuel. Billions of years from now, it will change and eventually fade out. That's a very, very long time, but it still shows that even the biggest, most powerful things have a lifespan. In science, there's a concept called entropy. Don't worry about the big word too much, but here's what it basically means. Everything naturally tends to move from a state of order to a state of disorder, from new to old, from whole to broken. It takes effort to keep things neat or new. Your bedroom, if left alone, will naturally get messy. A perfectly built sandcastle will naturally fall apart. This isn't a flaw in the universe. It's a fundamental rule of how energy and matter behave. Understanding this truth that most things don't last forever can feel a little strange at first. But here's the quiet thought. It's not meant to make us sad. Instead, it can help us appreciate things more deeply while we have them. It reminds us to enjoy the sunny day, to cherish a favorite toy, or to value our friendships right now, in this moment. Because knowing that things will change also means that difficult times don't last forever either. It reminds us that new things will always emerge from the old, just like spring follows winter, offering new beginnings and different kinds of beauty. It's a gentle reminder to live in the present, to find wonder in the now, and to accept the beautiful, constant flow of life. The quiet roar of the unknown. Have you ever looked out into the night, maybe at the endless stars, or even just thought about how big the world is, and felt a tiny shiver? A deep feeling, like a quiet hum inside you. That feeling, that little rumble, is often the quiet roar of the unknown. It's not a scary monster sound, but more like a distant drumbeat that reminds you there's so much more out there than what you see right now. So, what is this unknown we're talking about? Simply put, it's all the stuff we don't know, can't see, or haven't figured out yet. It's the questions that don't have easy answers. It's the edges of our understanding, where our knowledge just kind of fades into mystery. Think about it like this. Your house, your school, your town, you know them pretty well, right? But what about the entire rest of the world? Or the universe? Most of it is still a huge question mark. That's the unknown. For a very long time, people have faced this feeling. Thousands of years ago, humans looked up at the stars and wondered what they were. They didn't have telescopes. They just saw tiny lights in the dark. They made up stories, myths, trying to explain it all. When explorers drew maps of the Earth, after a certain point, they'd often just write things like, "Here be dragons," or "unknown lands" on the blank parts. Not because they actually thought dragons were there, but because they simply didn't know what was beyond that point. The unknown was a vast, mysterious ocean that surrounded everything they did know. It was exciting and a little bit scary, all at once. It's like having a map that only shows your street. You know every crack in the pavement, every tree. But step off your street, and you're in an area the map doesn't cover. What's around the next corner? Is there a park? A different kind of store? That blank space on your imaginary map is the unknown. Or, imagine the deep ocean. Scientists have explored only a tiny, tiny part of it. There are probably creatures down there we can't even imagine, living in ways we don't understand. Most of the ocean is still a huge, deep mystery. It's vast, it's silent, and it's filled with things we can't even guess at. Even in our own lives, there's a quiet roar of the unknown. You don't know exactly what's going to happen tomorrow, or next month, or what you'll be doing 10 years from now. You have dreams and plans, but the details are still blank pages. And that's okay. Sometimes that uncertainty can make us feel a little bit uneasy. It's natural to want to know everything, to have all the answers, but that feeling of not knowing, that deep hum of the unknown, is also where all new ideas come from. It's where new discoveries are made. It's where growth happens. The unknown isn't just empty space. It's full of possibilities. It's a reminder that life is bigger and more amazing than we can ever fully grasp. And that's a beautiful, deep truth to sit with. So, when you feel that quiet hum, that little shiver of wonder, remember it's not something to be afraid of. It's just the universe whispering its endless stories, inviting you to listen, and reminding you that there is always more to learn, more to experience, and more to simply be curious about. The universe as a school project? Have you ever stopped to really look at the sky at night? Or watched a tiny ant carrying something huge, much bigger than itself? The world around us is amazing, full of incredible details, from the smallest blade of grass to the biggest galaxy. It's so vast and complex, it almost makes you wonder, could someone have built all this? Like a super incredible, giant, mind-blowing school project? This idea, that our whole reality might be a kind of made-up place, is called the simulation hypothesis. It's like thinking our universe isn't truly real in the solid way we usually think of it. Instead, it could be a massive computer program running on some super advanced machine somewhere else. Think of it like a very detailed video game, but one so real that the characters inside it would never know they were in a game. They'd feel real emotions, have real thoughts, and live what they believe are real lives. Imagine a student far, far into the future. This student is incredibly smart, living in a time when technology is almost like magic. For their biggest science fair project ever, they decide to create a whole universe. They program in all the rules of physics, every star, every planet, every tree, every animal, and maybe even every single person. They make it so realistic with so many tiny details that anyone living inside it would feel like their world was completely, truly real. They wouldn't know they were part of someone's homework assignment, designed to earn an A+. People have been asking questions like this for thousands of years, long before anyone even dreamed of computers. Ancient Greek thinkers, like a philosopher named Plato, imagined a cave where people were chained, only able to see shadows on a wall. They thought the shadows were real, because that was all they knew. But outside the cave, the real world existed, full of sunlight and actual objects. This old idea is kind of similar to the simulation idea. What if what we see and touch isn't the most real version of reality, but a reflection or a highly detailed copy? Today, some very smart scientists and thinkers still wonder about it. They look at how quickly our own computer games are becoming more and more real, with amazing graphics and complex worlds. They think, if we can create such detailed virtual worlds, couldn't someone even more advanced than us have created ours? It's a thought that stretches your mind, making you wonder just how deep reality goes. So, if our universe were a giant school project, what would that mean for us? Would it make our lives less important? Would our choices, our feelings, our friendships still matter? Here's the thing. Even if we were characters in the most amazing school project ever made, our experiences would still be absolutely real to us. The joy you feel when you laugh with friends, the comfort you find in your favorite song, the challenges you face and overcome, the quiet moments of wonder, these are all your experiences. They are real within the world, and they shape who you are. The creator of such a project might even have intended for us to have these very real feelings and connections. Maybe this idea isn't meant to make us doubt everything, but to make us curious about the deep mysteries of existence. It's a thought experiment that makes us appreciate the incredible complexity and beauty of the world we live in, whether it's a vast cosmic program or the most brilliant science fair entry of all time. It reminds us that there's so much we don't know, so much more to wonder about, and so much beauty to explore. And perhaps, just perhaps, as you consider this fascinating possibility, it helps your mind drift gently, calmly, as you prepare for sleep. The world existed long before you got here. Have you ever stopped to think about what was happening on Earth, right here, long before you were born? Like way, way before. Imagine the world humming along, full of life, full of events, even though you weren't here yet. It's a strange thought, isn't it? To realize that everything around us, the trees, the rivers, the very ground we walk on, has a history that stretches back further than we can easily picture. Here's the thing. Our lives feel like a big deal to us, and they are. Every moment you live, every choice you make, it's important. But the universe doesn't exactly hit pause and wait for us to arrive. Billions of years passed before the first humans even walked the earth. Then, thousands of years went by, filled with incredible stories, before any of our grandparents were born. Empires rose and fell. Amazing discoveries were made. People built huge cities, wrote epic poems, and invented things that changed everything, all without any input from you or me. Think about it like this. Your school building was there before you started 8th grade. Other students walked its halls, learned in its classrooms, and had their own adventures long before you ever stepped inside. The rules, the traditions, even the worn spots on the stairs, they're all part of a history that happened before you were part of it. And just like that, the entire world has a deep, deep past. This idea can feel a bit weird. It can make you feel really small. But it's not meant to make you feel unimportant. Instead, it's about understanding your place in a much, much bigger story. It's about seeing that you are part of something truly massive and ancient. Imagine ancient Egypt, for example. Thousands of years ago, people built giant pyramids, developed writing, and created art that still amazes us today. They had daily routines, friendships, worries, and joys, just like us. They lived full, meaningful lives, loved their families, and dreamed their dreams. And they did all of this centuries, even millennia, before any of us existed. The Roman Empire rose and fell. Great thinkers like Plato and Aristotle walked the earth, asking big questions about life and the universe. Incredible art was painted, and beautiful music was composed. All of this unfolded moment by moment, on the same planet we live on now. It shows us that life has always been happening, in countless different ways, across vast stretches of time. Every sunrise, every sunset, every changing season, these have been happening for longer than we can really grasp. The stars you see at night, many of them have been shining for billions of years, long before our sun or earth even formed. Even the ground beneath your feet holds secrets from unimaginable ages ago, from dinosaurs roaming freely to tiny, ancient, single-celled life forms. Think about a song you really love. Someone wrote it, someone played it, maybe even recorded it, long before you ever heard it. That song existed in the world, bringing joy or comfort to others, waiting for you to discover it. Your favorite book? The author wrote it. Pages were printed, and people read it long before you picked up your copy. These things didn't just pop into existence when you needed them. They had their own journey through time. The air you breathe, the water you drink. These elements have been on Earth for eons, cycling through the atmosphere, forming oceans and clouds. The history of this planet is written in the rocks, in the fossils, in the very air. We are just a very recent chapter in an extremely long book. So, what does this all mean for us, right now? It means we are part of an ongoing story. It means our time here, our individual lives, are precious and unique within this massive flow of existence. We get to experience a tiny slice of this incredible, ancient world. And when we realize the world has been here for so long, and will continue long after we're gone, it can actually be a comforting thought. It tells us that life finds a way, that the universe is resilient and full of wonders, whether we are observing them or not. It helps us see our problems and our joys in a larger light. We are not just living in the world. We are a tiny but important part of its continuing journey. It connects us to everyone who came before us, and everyone who will come after. It reminds us that our story is part of a much grander, never-ending tale. And that's a pretty deep and amazing thing to think about. And it will keep going when you're gone. Imagine you're walking through a park you love. The trees are tall, the birds are singing, maybe there's a gentle breeze. You feel like you're right there, in that moment, and it feels important. Now, here's a thought. What if you weren't there? What if you had to move away, or simply stopped visiting? Would the park disappear? Would the birds stop singing? This idea, and it will keep going when you're gone, is a big one, but it's also very simple. It means the world, and everything in it, doesn't stop just because one person isn't there anymore. The sun will still rise each morning, painting the sky with colors. The moon will still glow in the night, pulling the tides. Your favorite store will still be open, selling its goods. Life, in all its forms, keeps flowing. It's like a giant river that keeps moving, no matter if a single drop evaporates or joins the ocean far away. Think about the oldest things you know. A giant redwood tree that's hundreds of years old, a mountain range carved by time, or maybe an ancient building you've seen in a picture. The people who first saw those mountains or built those old walls are long gone. Their lives ended, their time passed. But the mountains are still there, looking much the same. The old walls, even if they're crumbling a bit, still show the shape of what they once were. This shows us how things, both natural and human-made, can last way beyond a single lifetime. They continue. They endure. Consider your school building. If you're sick for a day, or even a week, does the school just shut down? No, right? Classes still happen. The bell still rings. Your friends still sit in their desks, learning and laughing. The system keeps working. It's built to continue, even when individual parts are absent for a time. Look at the ocean. The waves crash onto the shore, one after another, day after day, year after year. They have been doing that for millions of years before any of us were born, and they'll keep doing it long after we're gone. The wind blows, the rain falls, the seasons change from warm to cold and back again. These are vast natural cycles that don't depend on any single person. They are constant, like a huge, dependable rhythm of the planet. Or think about a story your grandparents told you, maybe a funny family memory or an old tale. The person who first told that story, way back when, might not be around anymore. But the story itself, the words and the feeling, lives on because it was passed down. It continued from one person to another, through time, connecting generations. Even something as simple as a story can keep going, carrying pieces of the past into the future. So, what does this all mean for you? It can feel a bit strange to think that everything keeps going, that the world doesn't pause when you're not looking. But it also means you are part of something truly massive, something that stretches far back in time and will continue far into the future. You are a unique, important part of this huge ongoing river of life. And while the world will certainly continue, you have this precious chance right now to experience it, to learn from it, and to add your own special ripples to the pond. It's not about being forgotten, not really. It's about recognizing that you are connected to this endless flow of existence. And that can be a comforting thought, knowing that life, in all its forms, always finds a way to move forward. The rules we make up just for fun. Have you ever stopped to really think about all the rules that guide your day? Not just the rules your parents or teachers give you, but bigger ones. The ones that seem to run the whole world. Things like which side of the road we drive on, or what makes a piece of paper worth a lot of money. It's strange, isn't it? Because here's the thing. Many of these rules aren't like gravity, where an apple always falls down. They aren't natural laws that simply exist, like the sun rising in the east. Instead, they are ideas, shared ideas. Things we, as humans, decided together, almost like we were making up the rules for a giant global game. We call these ideas social constructs. That's a fancy way of saying they're concepts that only exist because we, as a society, agree they do. They're not physical things you can touch or measure like a tree or a river. They live in our minds, in our shared beliefs, and in the ways we interact with each other. Imagine for a moment a game like baseball. What is baseball? It's not a physical object. It's a set of rules. 3 strikes, 4 balls, 9 innings, run the bases this way, hit the ball with that kind of bat. If everyone suddenly decided those rules didn't matter, or that a strike meant something different, baseball as we know it would just stop existing. It's entirely made up, yet millions of people follow its rules passionately. Think about money. A dollar bill is just a piece of paper with some ink on it. It has no actual value on its own. You can't eat it, build a house with it, or wear it for warmth. But we, collectively, agree that this piece of paper can be exchanged for food, clothes, or even a ticket to a concert. This shared belief is powerful. It allows entire economies to work, lets people buy and sell things, and gives people a way to save for the future. Without that agreement, money would be meaningless, just colored paper. Or consider time. We divide the day into hours, minutes, and seconds. We group days into weeks, months, and years. And we have time zones, so when it's noon here, it might be midnight somewhere else. But the Earth doesn't actually have invisible lines marking these divisions. The sun doesn't shine differently when it crosses into a new time zone. We invented these systems to help us organize our lives, to coordinate work, travel, and communication across the globe. Before people invented clocks and calendars, time was simply the passing of day and night, the turning of seasons. Our modern concept of precise time is a brilliant, collective invention. Even the idea of a country or a nation is a kind of shared rule. Look at a map. You see lines dividing one country from another. But if you flew over these lines in an airplane, you wouldn't see them on the ground. There isn't a giant fence or a different color of dirt that suddenly marks the border. These borders are agreements, made by people, often through long histories of peace treaties or wars. They exist because we believe they exist, and we organize our societies, laws, and identities around them. It's a lot to think about, isn't it? That so much of what we consider real or normal is actually just a collection of ideas that we all decided to believe in. This doesn't make these things fake or unimportant. In fact, it makes them incredibly powerful. It means that humans have a huge ability to shape their world. It shows us that if we can create these rules, we can also, over time, change them. We can build new systems, new agreements, and new ways of living. It reminds us that our world is not just a fixed place, but something we are constantly creating together, day by day, belief by belief. Can we ever really know everything? Have you ever looked up at the night sky, filled with countless stars, and felt very small? Or maybe you've tried to remember every single thing you learned in school, or every single thing that happened in your life. And then you might have wondered, is there a limit to what we can know? Can a person, or even all of humanity put together, ever truly know everything? Here's the thing, our brains are amazing. They help us learn, remember, and understand so much. We build incredible machines, explore far-off planets with robots, and even figure out how tiny atoms work. But there's a deep, quiet thought that sometimes slips in. What if there's always more? What if the universe is so vast, so complex, that we can only ever grasp a tiny part of it? Think about it this way. Imagine you're standing on a beach. You can see the sand right under your feet and the waves crashing nearby. You know what that little bit of beach is like. But can you know every single grain of sand on every beach in the world? Or every creature living deep, deep under the ocean, miles below where any light reaches? It's just too big. Our senses, our tools, even our smartest computers have limits. There's so much out there we can't see, hear, or touch directly. For thousands of years, very wise people have thought about this exact question. They realized that the world, and even our own minds, hold mysteries. One famous thinker from ancient Greece, a man named Socrates, famously said something like, "The only true wisdom is in knowing that you know nothing." What he meant was, the smarter you get, the more you realize how much you don't know. It's like climbing a tall mountain. The higher you go, the more you see. But also the more you realize how huge the world below you is, and how many other mountains there are to explore. Think about a puzzle. You might put together a small jigsaw puzzle pretty easily. But what if the puzzle had 1,000,000 pieces, and half of them were missing, and new pieces kept appearing out of nowhere? That's a bit like trying to know everything. Every time science answers a question, it often opens up 10 new questions we hadn't even thought of before. For example, we know a lot about atoms now, but scientists keep discovering even smaller particles inside them, and new forces acting between them. Our understanding of the universe keeps growing, but the edge of what we don't know just keeps getting further away. Or take something simpler, knowing another person. You might have a best friend, someone you feel like you know inside out. You know their favorite color, their biggest dreams, what makes them laugh. But do you know every single thought they've ever had, every tiny feeling or secret memory they hold? Probably not. Even with people we're closest to, there's always a part of them that only they truly know. So, can we ever really know everything? The quiet answer, the deep truth, might be no. And that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It means the journey of discovery never ends. It means there's always something new to learn, something new to wonder about, a new mystery to explore. It keeps life interesting, and it keeps us curious. It reminds us that even when we feel smart, there's always a vast, beautiful universe of unknown waiting to be discovered, one small piece at a time. And perhaps that's what makes life so full of wonder. The deep silence of space. Have you ever thought about what it would really be like to float in space? Not just looking at stars, but truly being out there, beyond our planet's noisy blue sky. Most of us imagine the amazing sights, the bright stars, the swirling galaxies. But have you ever considered the sounds? Or, more accurately, the lack of them? Here's the thing about space. It's incredibly, overwhelmingly silent. On Earth, our world is full of sound. Sound is created when something vibrates, sending waves through air, water, or solid objects. Your ears catch these waves, turning them into what you hear. It's how we know a friend is calling, or if rain is falling. But out in space, it's different. Space is mostly a vacuum. Imagine a place where there's almost nothing. No air, no water, no solid stuff for sound waves to travel through. It's like trying to shout in a room with no walls, no ceiling, no floor, and no air. Your voice just wouldn't go anywhere. It would just stop. That's why, even if two giant asteroids crashed into each other, creating a colossal explosion, you wouldn't hear a thing if you were floating nearby. There's nothing for the sound to travel through to reach your ears. For a long time, people wondered about this. Way back in ancient Greece, some thinkers believed that the planets and stars moved in perfect harmony, creating a beautiful, silent music of the spheres. It was a poetic idea, not something they could prove with science. They didn't have the tools we do today. Today, thanks to science and the amazing tools we've sent out, we know the truth. Spaceships carry microphones, but they record sounds inside the craft, or the crackle of radio signals, which are a different kind of wave than sound. When astronauts speak from the International Space Station, their voices travel as radio waves, which are then changed into sound here on Earth. But outside their helmets, in the vastness, there is nothing but quiet. Think about a moment when you've been somewhere truly quiet. Maybe late at night, when everyone else is asleep and the house is still, or perhaps deep in a library, where even a whisper feels loud. Now, imagine that quiet, but amplified to an impossible degree. No hum of electricity, no distant siren, no crickets, just nothing. It's a silence so deep it can feel overwhelming. It's not just the absence of noise. It's the absence of anything that could make a noise. This deep silence of space isn't just a science fact. It's something that can make you think. When you realize how quiet the universe really is, you start to notice how much sound we make on our own little planet. Our world is full of life, energy, and noise. We create our own sounds, our own music, our own conversations, our own stories. We fill our small corner of the universe with everything that defines us, and that's why it matters. This silence reminds us how unique and special our Earth is, how lucky we are to have air to breathe and sound to hear. It reminds us that outside our cozy planet, the universe simply continues, vast and indifferent, in its own profound quiet. It's a silence that doesn't judge or care. It just is. And in that quiet, you can feel very small, but also very aware of the precious, vibrant noise of your own existence. It makes you value every sound, every laugh, every song, every word spoken, because in the grand scheme of things, these are truly special. They are our sound in an otherwise silent cosmos. Why you can't step into the same river twice. Have you ever thought about how things are always changing, even when they seem to stay the same? Imagine you're standing by a river, watching the water move past. You decide to step into the cool water. Then you step out. A moment later, you step back in. Is it really the same river you just stepped into? Here's the thing. An old Greek thinker named Heraclitus, who lived a very long time ago, said something famous. You cannot step into the same river twice. At first, this might sound a little confusing. A river is a river, right? It has the same name, the same banks, the same path. But Heraclitus was getting at a much deeper truth about everything around us, and even about ourselves. He meant that the water flowing over your feet the first time is gone. It has flowed downstream, far away. When you step in a second time, it's new water, fresh from upstream, moving quickly past. The riverbed itself might have shifted a tiny bit. A small stone might have moved. A leaf might have fallen in or floated away. So, while the idea of the river remains, its actual parts are always changing. It's a never-ending flow, never still, never quite identical to what it was even a second before. And this isn't just true for rivers. It's true for everything in life. Think about your own body. Every few years, almost every cell in your body has been replaced with a new one. The you that is reading these words right now is not exactly the same person you were when you were little. Your bones are growing, your hair is longer, your skin is shedding and regenerating. You've learned new things, had new experiences, felt new feelings. Your thoughts and ideas are always shifting too. The experiences you have today change you, even in tiny ways, making you different tomorrow. Consider a familiar path you walk every day, maybe to school or a friend's house. The street name is the same. The houses look the same. But look closer. A new crack might have appeared on the sidewalk. A neighbor might have painted their fence a new color. The trees are shedding leaves, or growing new ones. The light from the sun is different each day. Even the air you breathe is made of different molecules. Nothing is truly fixed. Everything is in a constant, gentle state of becoming something new. It's like listening to a favorite song. The song is familiar, the notes are the same, but the way you feel when you hear it might be different depending on your mood. The memory of hearing it before might shape how you hear it now. Each listening is a new experience, even if it feels the same. So, when Heraclitus said you can't step into the same river twice, he was inviting us to see the world differently. He was asking us to notice that change isn't just something that happens sometimes. Change is always happening. It's the very nature of life itself. The world is not a collection of solid, unmoving things. It's a continuous flow, a dance of moments, always moving, always fresh, always new. This idea can seem deep, but it can also be very peaceful. It means that every moment is unique. You can't get back yesterday, and you can't perfectly recreate a past moment, no matter how hard you try. But this also means that every new moment holds something new for you. It helps us appreciate what's right in front of us, right now. Because this now is fleeting, and it will never be exactly like this again. It encourages us to be present, to really see, hear, and feel the world as it unfolds around us, in its ever-changing beauty. What if everything is just a story? Have you ever watched a really good movie or read a book that felt so real, you almost forgot it wasn't? The characters and their world felt so true. It was like your own life paused, and you lived inside their story for a while. Now, imagine that our whole life, everything we see, hear, and feel, is kind of like that. What if the world itself is a big, unfolding story? This isn't about magical creatures or made-up tales. This deep thought asks if the way we understand reality is built on shared stories. These aren't fictions, but powerful ideas, beliefs, and understandings we all agree on. A story gives meaning. It connects events, gives people roles, and sets rules. What if our world works in a similar way, where our reality is shaped by the stories we as humans tell each other? People have wondered about this for thousands of years. In ancient Greece, a smart thinker named Plato explored this. He told a famous story, the allegory of the cave. Imagine people chained in a deep cave, facing a blank wall their whole lives. Behind them, a fire burns and objects pass. The only thing they see are the shadows these objects cast on the wall. To them, these shadows are real. They are their entire world. If one broke free and saw the true light, it would be shocking. Plato suggested our everyday reality, what we see and believe, might be like those shadows. We might be seeing only a reflection of something much bigger. So, how does this fit into your daily life? Think about a school hallway during class changes. Everyone knows the unwritten rules. Walk on the right side. Don't run. Move with the crowd. These aren't laws, but shared understandings. A kind of story about how to move safely and respectfully. We all follow this story, and because we do, the hallway works. Or think about fashion. Why does everyone suddenly decide a certain type of shoe is cool? It's not because the shoe changed. It's because a shared story about what's stylish was created and adopted. This collective agreement shapes what we like and how we act. Consider the rules for any game you play. When you play a board game, you agree to its rules, right? Those rules are the story of that game. They tell you what's possible, what's not, how you win. Outside the game, those specific rules don't exist. But inside the game, they are your reality. Our world has many games like this. Money, for example. A paper bill is just paper. But because we all agree on its story, that it has value, that it can buy things, it becomes real in our lives. This shared belief, this collective story, gives it power and meaning. This thought isn't meant to make you feel lost or uncertain. Instead, it's an invitation to look at the world with a curious mind. If so much of what we experience, from social rules to our own identities, is shaped by these powerful, often unseen stories, what does that mean for us? It means we can notice these stories. We can ask where they came from. We can question if they still serve us. And maybe, just maybe, it means we have the power to help write new stories. Stories that are kinder, more fair, and more hopeful for ourselves and for the world around us. It's a quiet idea, a gentle whisper that opens your mind to new ways of seeing. It encourages a deeper wonder about the fabric of reality, not a fear of its unraveling. The echoes of things that never happened. Have you ever stopped to think about all the things that didn't happen? All the different paths your life could have taken, based on small choices? It's a strange feeling, like you can almost hear the soft whispers of those other lives, those other moments, just out of reach. These are what we call the echoes of things that never happened. Here's the thing. Every single second we make choices, and every choice we make closes off countless other possibilities. Think about it. When you picked out your clothes this morning, you didn't pick other clothes. When you decided to eat cereal, you didn't eat toast. These are small things, right? But what about bigger choices? Like which school to go to, or which club to join, or even just who to sit next to at lunch. Each one of those decisions sends ripples out into your life, shaping it in ways you might not even realize. For centuries, people have thought about this idea. Ancient thinkers and writers often wondered about fate versus free will. They asked, are our lives set in stone? Or do our choices truly matter? And if our choices do matter, what about all the lives we could have lived? Sometimes, this thought can feel heavy. It's the feeling of wondering, what if? What if I had said yes instead of no? What if I had turned left instead of right? What if I had tried harder? Or maybe not tried at all? This isn't about regret, not exactly. It's more about understanding the vastness of possibility. Imagine you're walking along a path in the woods. You come to a fork. You pick the left path. That's your choice. You start walking. But for a moment, you can almost feel the presence of the right path. The one you didn't take. You might wonder where it would have led, what you would have seen, who you would have met. That feeling, that sense of a different possible future that now doesn't exist for you, that's an echo. Our minds are pretty amazing. They can imagine things that aren't real, things that never were. And sometimes they play out these different scenarios. It's a way our brains try to understand the world, to learn from past decisions, and maybe even to prepare for future ones. It's like a mental superpower, letting us see how things might have turned out differently. But it can also make us feel a little bit uneasy, because it shows us how fragile our present reality can be. Just one tiny different step, and everything could shift. For example, maybe you had a plan to hang out with friends, but then one friend got sick, and your plans changed. You ended up staying home, reading a book. In your mind, you can probably picture the fun you would have had with your friends. That imagined scenario, the laughter, the conversations that never happened, those are echoes. They are real in your mind, even if they never happened in the world. So, what does this mean for us? It means we are constantly making our reality, one choice at a time. Every moment is a new chance to build the path we are on. And while it's natural to feel the whispers of what might have been, we also get to appreciate the path we are on right now. It's okay to acknowledge those echoes, but then we can gently let them fade, because the most important echoes are the ones we're creating with every step forward in the life we are truly living. And that's pretty powerful when you think about it. Your brain is a whole universe inside your head. Have you ever just stopped for a second and thought about what's actually happening right now inside your head? Not just thinking a thought, but thinking about how you think. It's kind of wild, isn't it? Like, where do all those ideas come from? Where do your memories live? It turns out the space between your ears is much, much bigger than it seems. Think of it this way. Your brain isn't just a part of your body. It's more like a whole world. A universe, even. It holds everything you are and everything you know. Every laugh you've had, every tear you've cried, every fact you've learned, every dream you've ever imagined. It's all in there. It's a place where billions of tiny cells, called neurons, are always talking to each other. They send little electric signals back and forth, creating pathways that make you, well, you. For thousands of years, people have looked up at the stars and felt tiny. They wondered about the vastness of space. But even longer than that, maybe since the very first humans, people have also looked inside themselves. They've tried to figure out what makes us think, feel, and wonder. Ancient thinkers, philosophers from long ago, they didn't have fancy brain scans or microscopes, but they still knew there was something incredible going on in our minds. They saw that our thoughts could be as big and mysterious as the universe outside. They asked, what is the mind? And where do our ideas come from? These aren't new questions. They're as old as humanity itself. And the answer, in a way, is always within your own head. Imagine your brain is like an enormous city that never sleeps. Every street is a connection between ideas. Every building is a memory. And every person in the city is a thought or a feeling. When you learn something new, it's like a new building going up, or a new road being paved, connecting even more parts of the city. When you remember something from your childhood, like the smell of your grandma's cookies, it's like a special part of the city coming alive, complete with sounds, sights, and feelings, all connected. Or think about when you're trying to solve a tricky math problem or figure out a riddle. Your brain isn't just pulling facts. It's connecting different ideas, trying out pathways, and seeing what fits. It's like a superpowered search engine combined with an artist and a storyteller, all at once. And every dream you have at night, that's your brain exploring new corners of its own universe, creating entire worlds out of nothing but its own incredible power. It's always working, always creating, always connecting. So, here's the thing. You carry this amazing universe with you everywhere you go. It's unique to you. No two brains are exactly alike, and no two inner worlds are the same. Your thoughts, your feelings, your ideas, they are truly your own. This inner universe is where you grow, where you learn, where you imagine. It's a place of incredible power and endless possibility. And understanding that, even a little bit, can be a calming thought. Because no matter what's happening outside, you always have this incredible, vast, living space inside your head. It's a place you can explore, a place you can build, and a place where you are truly free to be yourself. It's your own personal cosmos, and it's always there. The idea that there's no real end. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered how far it goes? Or thought about a story that never truly finishes, just keeps on changing, even after the book ends? This can be a tricky thought, but it's an important one. When we talk about no real end, we're not just thinking about a very, very long time. We're thinking about something that doesn't ever completely stop, doesn't ever truly vanish into nothing. It's the idea that some things simply transform, shift, or continue in a new way, rather than disappearing completely. Imagine a circle. It has no beginning and no end. You can go around it forever. That's a bit like how this idea works, but on a much, much bigger scale. It's about the universe, maybe even about life itself, in a way that suggests there's no final, absolute stop. It's about the very stuff of existence always being there, just in different forms. For thousands of years, people have thought about this. Ancient thinkers, like some in old India or Greece, believed in cycles. They saw how seasons change, how plants grow and then seem to die, but their seeds bring new plants. They thought maybe the whole universe worked like that, always changing, always moving, but never truly ending. Even today, scientists talk about things like energy. Here's how it works. They say energy can't be created or destroyed. It just changes form. The heat from your hand, for example, doesn't just vanish. It spreads into the air around you. The light from the sun doesn't disappear. It hits things, warms them, and helps plants grow. So, the energy is still there, just in a different state. Think about the water cycle, something you probably learned about in science class. Water evaporates from the ocean, forms clouds, falls as rain, flows into rivers, and eventually goes back to the ocean. It's always moving, always changing form, liquid, gas, solid, tacitus, but the water itself doesn't disappear from Earth. It just keeps on its journey. Or consider a single breath. You breathe in air, your body uses it, and then you breathe out carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide isn't gone. Plants can use it to grow. The air you breathe out might be breathed in by someone else, or used by a tree. It's a continuous flow, a constant exchange. Even our thoughts and ideas can work like this. When you share an idea, it doesn't vanish from your mind. It lives on in someone else's mind, maybe sparking a new idea for them. Knowledge, once learned, doesn't just disappear from the world. It gets passed down, written in books, taught in schools. It keeps going. This idea can feel really big, almost too big to fully grasp. But it's not meant to be scary. Instead, it invites us to think differently about how things connect and how everything is part of a larger, ongoing process. It suggests that we are part of something much larger than just our own lives, something that has been and will continue to be. Your actions, your words, your very presence ripple out, becoming part of this unending flow. It means that even when things change or seem to end for us, the raw materials, the energy, the essence of them continues on in some form. There's a constant dance of becoming and transforming. So, when you look at the stars, or watch the rain, or even just breathe, know that you're witnessing a tiny piece of this grand, unending story. It's a story that includes you, and it keeps on going, not with a sudden stop, but with endless new chapters waiting to unfold. This can bring a sense of peace, that even as our individual journeys have their moments, the great, vast, beautiful story of existence itself keeps spinning, forever changing, forever alive. Are we just bits of stardust walking around? Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered what you're actually made of? It's a simple question, but the answer goes deeper than you might think. Here's the thing. You are, quite literally, made of stardust. This isn't just a poetic idea, it's a scientific fact. Think about everything around you. Your chair, the book you're reading, the air you breathe, and even your own body. All of it is made up of tiny building blocks called atoms. We've learned that most of these atoms, especially the heavier ones, weren't around when the universe first began. The very early universe was mostly just hydrogen and helium. So, where did all the other elements come from? Things like carbon, which is in all living things, or oxygen, which we breathe, or iron, which is in our blood. The answer is stars. Stars are like giant natural furnaces in space. Inside them, under incredible heat and pressure, lighter atoms are squished together to form heavier ones. This process is called nuclear fusion. It's how stars shine, and it's how they create new elements. For billions of years, stars have been cooking up these elements. But how do they get out into space for new things to form? When really big stars reach the end of their lives, they don't just gently fade away. They explode in a massive, bright burst called a supernova. This explosion is so powerful, it throws all those newly made elements, the carbon, the oxygen, the iron, and many more, out into the vast emptiness of space. These bits of star stuff floated around for a very long time. Over billions of years, these elements started to clump together, pulled by gravity. That's how our own sun formed, and later, our planet Earth. And everything on Earth, including every plant, every animal, and every human being, formed from these ancient, recycled bits of exploded stars. A famous scientist named Carl Sagan talked about this idea a lot. He helped many people understand that when we look at the stars, we're not just looking at faraway lights, we're looking at where we came from. He used to say, "We are made of star stuff." And it's true. The carbon atoms in your skin, the oxygen atoms you just breathed in, the iron in your blood, they were all forged in the heart of a star that died billions of years ago. Here's an example. Think about a magnificent tree. That tree grows from tiny seeds, but it needs sunlight, water, and nutrients from the soil. Those nutrients in the soil? They're made of elements that came from ancient stars. The carbon in the tree's wood? Also from stars. Just like that tree is a beautiful creation built from basic elements, so are we. We are the universe's way of recycling itself, turning old stardust into something new and alive. This can help you think about your place in the universe in a different way. It means you are deeply connected to everything that exists. You're not just on Earth. You are part of the grand story of the universe. Every atom in your body has traveled across unimaginable distances and existed for unimaginable lengths of time. You are truly ancient, made from the very same material that forms planets, galaxies, and nebulae. It's a thought that can make you feel small, but also incredibly special. It means you are a temporary, unique arrangement of matter that once belonged to a star. This connection can make you feel like you belong not just to your family or your town, but to the entire cosmos. You are a part of something vast, beautiful, and eternal. And that's a deep, quiet truth to carry with you. The way your choices change everything. Have you ever stopped to think about how your day, or even your whole life, could have been totally different if you'd just chosen something else this morning? Like, if you picked a different shirt, or ate a different breakfast, or said hi to someone you usually don't? It seems small, right? But here's the thing. Every single choice you make, no matter how tiny it feels, sends out ripples. It changes the path you're on. And that's one of those deep truths that can really stick with you. Imagine your life is like a massive tree with countless branches. Each time you make a decision, it's like you're stepping onto a different branch. Some branches might lead to similar places, but others could take you somewhere totally unexpected, a place you never would have reached otherwise. This isn't just about big life-changing decisions, like choosing which high school to go to. It's also about small, everyday moments. Will you study for that quiz? Or will you play a video game? Will you try a new food? Or stick with what you know? Each choice opens one door and closes countless others, sometimes without you even realizing it. For a long, long time, people have wondered about this. Way back, thinkers in ancient Greece, for example, used to sit and talk about whether our lives were already planned out for us, like a script, or if we truly had the power to decide what happens next. Were we just following a path that was already laid down, or were we actually carving out our own way with every step? What they slowly came to understand is that our choices are powerful. They are the tools we use to build our own path, moment by moment. It's not just about what happens to us, but how we respond to it. Our choices are our responses, and those responses matter. They set off new chains of events. Think about a simple example. Let's say you're walking home from school, and you usually take the same path. But one day, just because you felt like it, you decide to turn down a different street you've never explored. On that new street, you might see a cool new store, or meet a new neighbor walking their dog, or even just notice a really unique flower growing by the curb. If you had taken your usual path, none of that would have happened. You wouldn't have seen that store, met that person, or noticed that flower. Your one tiny decision, to turn left instead of going straight, changed what you experienced. It changed your story for that day. Now, imagine that on that new street, you actually bump into someone new. Maybe they drop their books, and you help them pick them up. You say hello, and suddenly you have a new friend. This new friend might introduce you to a new hobby, or tell you about a cool opportunity, or even just make you laugh when you're feeling down. All of that, from helping pick up books to having a new friend, started with your simple choice to turn down a different street. If you hadn't, that whole branch of possibility might never have happened. This idea can feel really big, almost overwhelming. Like, if every choice is so important, what if I choose wrong? But here's the calm part of this truth. It's not about choosing perfectly. It's about realizing the quiet power you hold. Every moment is a fresh chance. Every choice you make, big or small, is you, shaping your world, shaping who you become. It means your life isn't just happening to you. You are actively creating it, one choice at a time. And that, in itself, is an amazing and beautiful thing to understand. Why the future is always a surprise. Have you ever wished you could know what tomorrow would bring? Or next week? Or even what your life might look like 10 years from now? It's a common thought. We all want to feel ready, to be prepared for whatever is coming. But here's the thing. The future is always a surprise, and understanding why can actually help us sleep a little better, instead of keeping us up. So, why can't we ever truly know what's going to happen? It's because the world is incredibly complex. Think about how many tiny actions happen every single second. Every breath you take, every thought you have, every bird that flies by, every raindrop that falls. Each of these small events, and the actions of billions of other people, create tiny ripples. These ripples spread out and bump into other ripples, changing their direction, making new ripples. It's like a giant, never-ending dance where everyone is making up their own moves as they go. For thousands of years, people have tried to crack this mystery. Ancient civilizations looked to the stars, read signs in nature, or consulted oracles, people who claimed they could see the future. Even today, some people might read horoscopes or visit fortune tellers, But none of these methods truly work. They might give comfort or an idea, but they can't tell you exactly what will happen. That's because the future isn't a fixed path already laid out, waiting for us to walk down it. Instead, it's always being created, right now, by countless tiny things. Think about something simple, like trying to predict the weather. Scientists have huge computers, satellites, and tons of data. They can predict fairly well for a day or two. But try to guess the weather for a month from now? It becomes almost impossible. Why? Because a tiny change in air pressure over an ocean, a small shift in wind direction, or even a butterfly flapping its wings in one part of the world can create a chain reaction. That chain reaction can eventually lead to a hurricane or a heat wave somewhere else entirely. This idea is sometimes called the butterfly effect, and it shows how little changes can lead to huge, unexpected outcomes. Your own life is like this too. Imagine you plan a perfect day for a picnic. You pack all the food, choose the best spot, and check the forecast. But then, on the way, your friend calls with exciting news that changes everything, or a sudden, unexpected rain shower pops up. Your perfect plan is suddenly different. Why? Because your friend's choice, or that tiny weather system, shifted your path. It's not a sign that something went wrong, it's just how life works. Everything is connected, and everything is always in motion. This constant movement and these endless possibilities mean that the future can't be locked down. It can't be fully known, and that's not a bad thing. It means that every day holds true surprises. It means your choices, your actions, and even the tiny choices of others really matter. They help shape what comes next. So, instead of worrying about what you can't know, you can find a quiet strength in realizing that life is always fresh, always offering new chances, and always keeping the door open for unexpected wonders. It reminds us to be present, to enjoy the now, and to be ready for whatever interesting path might unfold. The past is a closed book you can't open. Have you ever messed up an answer on a test and just wished you could go back in time, even for a second, to change it? Or said something you immediately regretted and wanted to snatch the words right out of the air? It's a common feeling, that wish to undo or redo a moment. But here's the thing about the past. It's done. It's finished. Like a book you've already read, you can go back and reread a page, but you can't change the words on it. This idea that the past is unchangeable is one of those deep truths about life. Think about it. Every single second that just passed is gone forever. It's not stored somewhere you can visit or rewind like a video. It's what scientists and philosophers call the arrow of time. Time moves only in one direction, forward. It never loops back, it never stops. And it certainly never lets us edit what's already happened. Imagine you're building something with Legos. Once you snap two bricks together, they're connected. You can take them apart, but that act of snapping them together has already happened. The moment they clicked into place is a past event. You can't unclick them without having clicked them first. Or think about a joke you told that fell completely flat. The silence after it. The awkward feeling that moment happened. You can't go back and replace that joke with a funnier one in that exact moment. The only thing you can do is tell a better joke next time. This isn't just about small everyday things. It applies to everything. All of history. All the big events like the building of the pyramids or the first person landing on the moon. They happened. They are frozen in time. We study them, we learn from them, but we cannot alter them. We can't go back and tell the ancient Egyptians to use a different method or warn the astronauts about a small problem. That's why history is so important. It's our record of the unchangeable past. So, why is this a truth that might make it hard to fall asleep? Because it means we have to live with the choices we've made. We can't erase mistakes. We can't revisit happy moments to live them again exactly as they were. This can feel heavy, especially if you're holding on to regret or wishing things had turned out differently. But here's what this also means. Every moment you are living right now is incredibly precious. It's the only moment you can actually control. The past shapes us, it teaches us, it gives us memories, good and bad. But it doesn't define our future unless we let it. We can learn from what's already written in that closed book. We can understand why things happened the way they did. And then, the real power comes from turning the page. We take those lessons, those memories, and we use them to write the next chapter, the one that is happening right now and the one that is yet to come. It's about accepting what was and choosing to act differently for what will be. And that's a powerful, comforting thought. This exact moment is all you truly have. Have you ever found yourself sitting somewhere, maybe in class or at home, but your mind is miles away? Maybe you're thinking about that funny thing your friend said last week, or you're already planning what you'll do next weekend. We all do it. Our thoughts can pull us into the past, remembering moments that are gone, or push us into the future, imagining things that haven't happened yet. But here's the thing. When your mind is in the past or the future, you're missing out on right now. And this exact moment, this very second you are experiencing, is the only one you truly have. Think about it. The past is like a movie you've already watched. You can remember it, you can think about it, but you can't go back and change it. It's finished. The future is like a movie trailer. It looks exciting, or maybe a little scary, but it hasn't happened yet. You don't know exactly how it will turn out. The only real part of your life is the one you are in right now. It's this breath you're taking, this word you're hearing, the feeling of your clothes on your skin. This is the only place where life is actually happening. People have thought about this idea for thousands of years. Long ago, thinkers from different parts of the world, like ancient Greece or old Asian cultures, noticed how much time humans spent worrying about what was coming or what had already gone. They taught that true peace and a deeper understanding of life often came from learning to focus on the now. They believed that if you could truly be present in each moment, you'd find a quiet strength and joy that was always there, no matter what. It's not a new idea, but it's still very important today. Think about playing your favorite video game, or reading a really good book, or even just listening to a song you love. When you're truly into it, when you're in the zone, are you also thinking about what you ate for breakfast, or worrying about a test next week? Probably not. You're completely focused on the game, the story, the music. Your whole mind is there in that moment. That's what it feels like to truly have the present moment. Your attention is fully placed on what is happening, not on what was or what will be. Our brains are amazing. They are like super powerful computers that can remember everything that's happened and try to guess what will happen next. This is useful. It helps us learn from mistakes, remember what we need for school, and plan for fun things or important projects. But sometimes, this supercomputer keeps running even when we don't need it to. It can replay embarrassing moments from yesterday, or make us worry about something that might happen next week. When this happens, we're not truly here. We're physically present, but our minds are somewhere else entirely. We might be eating our favorite meal, but because we're scrolling on our phone or thinking about a problem, we don't truly taste the food or enjoy the company around us. So, what does this mean for you right now? It means that even when things feel tough or boring or just plain there, you have this moment. You can choose to notice the small things in it. The way the light falls, the sound of your own breathing, the feeling of your feet on the ground. It's not about being perfect or never thinking about anything else. It's about practicing. Like building a muscle, you can train your mind to come back to the present. And when you do, you might find that life, right here, right now, feels a lot more full, a lot more real. It can bring a quiet kind of peace, making those big thoughts about the universe feel a little less overwhelming. Maybe even helping you find a calmer space to rest at the end of the day. The universe is way bigger than you think. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, far away from city lights, and seen all those tiny pinpricks of light? Did you ever feel a little bit small? That feeling, that sense of being a tiny part of something huge, is a true thought. Because the universe is not just big, it's so much bigger than most of us can even begin to imagine. For a long, long time, people thought our Earth was the very center of everything. They believed the sun, the moon, and all the stars revolved around us, like we were the most important thing. It made sense to them, because that's what it looked like from down here. It probably felt good, too, to think we were at the middle of it all. But then, brave thinkers and scientists like Nicolaus Copernicus and Galileo Galilei dared to look closer, to question what seemed obvious. They used math and telescopes to show us something different. They proved that Earth actually goes around the sun, not the other way around. This was a huge change in how people saw their place in the universe. It was the first step in understanding just how much larger reality truly is. Now we know even more. Our sun is just one star, and it's not even a very big one. This sun, with our Earth and all the other planets spinning around it, is just a tiny part of something much, much bigger called a galaxy. Our galaxy is called the Milky Way. Think of the Milky Way as a giant city of stars. It has billions and billions of stars in it. Seriously, billions. Our sun is just one of those billions, tucked away in one of its spiral arms. But wait, there's more. The Milky Way galaxy, our amazing city of stars, is just one galaxy. Scientists have discovered that there are billions of other galaxies out there too. Some are shaped like spirals, like ours. Some are big blobs, some are stretched out. Each of these billions of galaxies also contains billions of stars. It's like imagining a giant cosmic ocean, and each galaxy is an island, filled with billions of suns and planets. To try and get a handle on this mind-boggling scale, think about it this way. Imagine you're at a beach. A really, really big beach. And on that beach, there are billions of grains of sand. Now, imagine that just one grain of sand represents our entire solar system. The sun, Earth, all the planets, everything. It's so tiny it's almost invisible. Now, imagine that whole beach with its billions of sand grains is just one tiny speck, like a crumb, on a much, much larger map. That map, with countless crumbs, is like the universe itself. It stretches out further than our minds can easily grasp. Light, which is the fastest thing we know, takes billions of years to travel from one side of the observable universe to the other. That's a journey so long, it's almost impossible to picture. It's true, understanding this can make you feel incredibly small, like a single breath in an endless wind. But here's the calm, deep truth. Even though we are tiny in this vast grand picture, we are also part of it. We are made of the same stuff as the stars and galaxies. And we are the only part of this enormous universe that we know of right now that can actually think about it, that can wonder, that can try to understand its own place in all of this. We are the universe trying to understand itself. That's a pretty special thing. It doesn't make our lives less important. It just makes our understanding bigger. And sometimes, knowing just how immensely vast and wonderful the universe is can make the short time we have here on our small planet feel even more precious and full of meaning. The thought that you're always changing. Have you ever looked at an old photo of yourself and thought, was that really me? Or maybe you remember something you absolutely loved last year, and now you just don't care about it at all. It's a funny feeling, isn't it? That person in the photo, the one who loved that thing, was you. But in some ways, they weren't. This brings us to a deep thought that can keep you awake. The idea that you are always, truly, always changing. It's not just that you're growing taller or getting older. That's easy to see. But what we're talking about here is something much deeper. It's about how every part of you, your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, your understanding of the world, even the tiny cells that make up your body is in a constant state of motion, of becoming something new. Think of yourself not as a solid, unmoving statue, but more like a flowing river. The water in a river looks the same from a distance, but the water itself is always moving, always new water passing by. You can never step into the exact same river twice. This idea is very old, by the way. Smart people thousands of years ago wondered about this very same thing. They saw how everything in nature was always shifting, always turning into something else. And they realized humans are part of that too. So, how does this constant change show up in your daily life? Well, let's start with your body. Scientists tell us that most of the cells in your body are replaced over time. Your skin cells are always shedding, and new ones are taking their place. Even the cells in your bones and blood are refreshed. You are literally made of new parts compared to who you were just a few years ago. It's like your body is a continuous construction project. But it's not just your physical body. Think about your mind. Every day you learn new things. Maybe it's a new fact in science class, a different way to solve a math problem, or simply a new way of looking at a friendship. Each piece of new information, each new experience, actually changes your brain a little bit. It makes new connections. It strengthens some paths and weakens others. So, the way you think about things, the way you react to different situations, even your sense of humor, it all shifts. The music you liked last year might seem boring now. The games you were obsessed with might not hold your interest anymore. That's not just you being picky. It's you changing. Your interests evolve. Your opinions grow. Your understanding deepens. This can be a really strange thought because it makes you wonder, if I'm always changing, am I still me? Where does the me stay? The powerful thing about this idea is that while you are always changing, there's a kind of story that connects all these different versions of you. You are the same person who experienced all those things, who learned all those lessons. You are the flowing river, and all the water that has ever passed through it is part of its story. You carry the memories and lessons from all the yous that came before. So, instead of being a scary thought, this idea that you're always changing can actually be incredibly freeing. It means you're never truly stuck. If you make a mistake, you can learn from it and change. If you don't like who you are in one moment, you have the power to grow into someone different, someone you like more, in the next moment. You are not a finished product. You are a process. You are always becoming. And that means every day is a chance to learn, to explore, and to decide just a little bit who you want to be next. It means your future self is waiting for you, shaped by every step you take right now. What if other universes exist? Have you ever stopped and thought about all the choices you make in a day? Like, what if you had picked a different outfit this morning, or walked a different way to school? What if, for every single one of those choices, big or small, there was another version of reality where you did something different? This idea is at the heart of what some people call the multiverse. Here's the thing. The multiverse is a mind-bending idea. It means our universe, the one we live in with all its stars, planets, and even your dog, might just be one of many. Imagine an endless collection of bubbles floating side by side. Each bubble is a complete universe, and our own is just one of them. In some of these other bubbles, things might be almost exactly like they are here. Maybe the only difference is that you chose pizza for lunch instead of a sandwich. But in others, things could be wildly different. The laws of physics might be changed, meaning gravity works differently, or colors look completely new. This isn't a brand new idea, just something that has gained interest with modern science. For a long time, people have wondered about other worlds. Ancient storytellers and philosophers sometimes imagined places beyond our sky. They didn't have telescopes or fancy math, but they still had that deep human curiosity. Now, scientists aren't just wondering. Some of them are using complex ideas from physics and mathematics to explore if other universes could actually exist. It's like trying to understand if there are other cities beyond your own, but on a cosmic scale. Think about it like playing a video game. You're going through the story, making choices. Sometimes the game lets you save your progress. You might then try out one choice, like going left, and see how the story plays out. Then, you can go back to your save point and try going right, seeing a totally different adventure. In a way, the multiverse idea is like saying every single possible choice you could have made, every path you could have taken, actually happened in a different, saved game, a different universe. So, if you debated whether to study for an extra hour last night, in one universe, you probably did, and in another, maybe you didn't. Each choice you've ever faced might have branched off into a new reality, and that's why it matters. If there are other universes, it doesn't make this one less special. In fact, it might make it even more amazing. Because out of all the countless possibilities, out of all the paths that could have been, this one, right now, is your reality. This is the universe where you are reading these words, where your friends are your friends, and where your life is unfolding. It makes you think about how truly unique and precious each moment is, no matter how many other versions of it might exist somewhere else. It reminds us that even if there are endless possibilities, the one we're living is the one we get to experience. And that is a profound thought to carry with you. The mystery of why anything exists at all. Have you ever just stopped for a moment, looked around, and truly wondered, why is there anything? here at all? Why isn't it just nothing? No stars, no planets, no trees, no people, no thoughts, just empty, silent blackness forever. This isn't just a silly question you ask when you can't sleep. It's one of the deepest mysteries humans have ever faced. Here's the thing. We often ask why questions about specific things. Like, why is the sky blue? And science gives us an answer about light scattering. Or, why did the dinosaur die? And we learn about an asteroid impact. These answers explain how something happened, or what caused it. But this question is different. It's not about why a specific thing exists. It's about why existence itself is a thing. Why is there a universe instead of nothing at all? Imagine you walk into a room and there's a big, beautiful cake sitting on the table. You might ask, why is there a cake? And someone could say, because it's my birthday. That explains the reason for the cake. But the deeper question, the one we're talking about here, is like asking, why is there a table for the cake to sit on? Why is there a room around the table? Why are there ingredients for a cake? Why are there atoms that make up those ingredients? And why is there a why question at all? For thousands of years, long before modern science, thinkers and philosophers have wrestled with this. They looked at the vastness of the sky, the complexity of life, and the sheer fact that anything was happening at all. And they wondered. Some believed a powerful being or force created everything, giving it a purpose. Others thought maybe the universe just popped into being, a random accident that just is. But even then, the question remains, why did that first spark happen instead of eternal nothingness? Science can tell us amazing stories about how our universe started. You've probably heard of the Big Bang. That theory says our universe began from a super tiny, super hot, super dense point, and then expanded outwards, creating all the space and matter we see today. It's an incredible how story. It explains how galaxies formed, how stars lit up, and how planets came to be. But what it doesn't explain is why that tiny hot point existed in the first place. Why was there something to bang? And where did the rules of physics that allowed the Big Bang to happen come from? So, this question isn't about finding a simple answer that you can write down on a test. It's about facing a mystery so huge, it makes your brain feel tiny. We might never find a simple answer. Maybe there isn't one that fits into human words. But here's what's really beautiful about it. Just asking the question, just sitting with that wonder, reminds us how truly amazing and mysterious our existence is. It makes you feel a connection to every person who has ever lived, because we all share this common, silent wonder. And in that shared mystery, there's a kind of peace, knowing we're all just here, together, under the same vast, beautiful, unexplained sky. Your name will be forgotten someday. Have you ever stopped to think about how many people have lived on Earth before you? Billions and billions. Now, how many of their names do you actually know? Maybe a few famous ones from history class, or your great-grandparents. But what about all the rest? Here's a deep truth to consider. Eventually, your name too will likely be forgotten. This idea can feel a bit strange, maybe even a little sad. But here's the thing. It's not about you being unimportant now. It's about how time works and how human memory fades across generations. Think of it like this. Right now, your life is a story being written. Your family, your friends, your teachers, they are all characters in it, and they remember you. They know your name, your laugh, your favorite things. But as years turn into decades, and decades turn into centuries, the circle of people who remember you shrinks. Your children will remember you, and maybe your grandchildren. But what about your great-great-great-grandchildren? They might know a vague story about Grandma Sarah or Great-Uncle Mark, if someone bothered to write it down. But the vivid memory, the sound of your voice, the way you smiled, that personal connection will be gone. It's a natural process, like a pebble dropping into a pond. The ripples spread out, getting weaker and weaker until they disappear. Eventually, your ripples, the memories of you, will blend back into the vast, calm surface of time. This isn't a flaw in human existence. It's just how things are. There are simply too many lives, too many stories, for every single one to be held on to forever by everyone who comes after. Think about the famous people you study in history. Cleopatra, Julius Caesar, Abraham Lincoln. We know their names and a little about what they did. But imagine how many other people lived during their time. How many farmers, artists, shopkeepers, or soldiers? They lived full, rich lives, just like you. They had hopes and dreams. They loved and lost. But their names are mostly lost to us now. Their memories have faded, not because they weren't important in their own lives, but because the sheer volume of history makes it impossible to remember every single person. Here's a simpler example you might understand. Think about your old school yearbooks. Maybe your parents or grandparents have them. You flip through the pages, seeing faces from years ago. You might recognize a few teachers or some popular kids. But what about all the other faces? Do you know their names? Do you remember what they were like? Probably not most of them. Even people who were once a big deal in that school community are just faces in a book now, their names mostly forgotten by those who didn't know them personally. And that's just a few years later. Imagine what it's like after 100 or 200 years. This isn't a reason to feel sad or like nothing matters. Instead, it's a quiet reminder to focus on what does matter in the here and now. If your name will eventually be forgotten by the grand sweep of history, then what truly matters is the life you lead right now. It's about the kindness you show to others, the joy you find in simple things, the connections you build with the people around you. It's about living in a way that feels true to you. It's about being present in your friendships, chasing your curiosities, and being brave enough to try new things. The impact you have on the people you meet, the moments you share, the laughter you create, those things are real and meaningful. They shape the world, one small interaction at a time, even if your name isn't carved into every history book. So, while the idea that your name will be forgotten might feel big and a little overwhelming, it can also be a gentle nudge. It reminds us to cherish the present, to make our lives full of meaning for ourselves and for those we love. Because the meaning isn't in being remembered forever. It's in how brightly you shine while you're here. The sunlight that traveled for millions of years. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and truly thought about what you were seeing? It's more than just twinkling lights. It's a vast, ancient story, playing out right above your head. And here's the thing. Every single ray of light reaching your eyes from a distant star or galaxy has been on an incredible journey. It has traveled for a very, very long time. Think about the sun. When you feel its warmth on your skin or see its brightness in the sky, that light isn't brand new. It left the surface of the sun about 8 minutes ago. So, you're always seeing the sun as it was 8 minutes in the past. That's not a huge amount of time, right? But what about stars that are much, much farther away? Some stars are so far off, their light takes hundreds or even thousands of years to get here. And then there are galaxies, huge collections of billions of stars that are millions of light years away. A light year is the distance light travels in one whole year. It's an enormous distance. So, if a galaxy is 10 million light years away, the light you see from it tonight started its journey 10 million years ago. Imagine that for a moment. When that light first set off, dinosaurs had been gone from Earth for millions of years. Early humans were nowhere to be found. The Earth itself looked very different. It was a completely different time. And yet, that light from that ancient moment is only now just reaching us. It's a bit like looking at an old photo album. When you open a picture from when your grandparents were little kids, you're not seeing them as they are today. You're seeing a moment from the past, frozen in time. That photo traveled through time, from their childhood to your hands. Light from space works in a similar but much grander way. When you look at a distant star, you're literally looking back in time. You are seeing that star not as it is right now, but as it was when that light first left it. This idea can feel a little strange. It means that the universe we observe isn't necessarily the universe as it is right now. It's a collection of moments from different pasts. We see some stars as they were yesterday, others as they were 1,000 years ago, and distant galaxies as they were millions of years ago. It's like a gigantic, slow-motion movie with different parts of the screen showing you different historical frames. This concept reminds us of how truly immense the universe is and how small our own present moment feels within its vast timeline. Every time you glance at the night sky, remember that you're not just looking at a starry canvas. You're peering through a window into deep time. You're seeing history, light waves that are ancient messengers, bringing us news from an unbelievably distant past. It makes you feel very connected to everything, and also very aware of how fleeting our own time here is. It's a quiet thought, but a powerful one, reminding us that we are part of something unimaginably big and old. Why we keep asking, why? Have you ever found yourself lying awake, just thinking? Maybe about something simple, like why the sky is blue, or why your pet looks at you a certain way. But then your thoughts drift, and suddenly you're asking much bigger questions. Questions like, why are we even here? Or, what's the point of all this? It's a feeling many of us know well, that endless loop of why. So why do we keep doing it? Why is asking why such a big part of being human? Here's the thing. Asking why is not just something we do, it's who we are. It's like a built-in search engine in our brains, always trying to make sense of the world. From the moment we are little kids, we ask why constantly. Why is the stove hot? Why does the dog bark? Why do I have to go to bed? We're trying to figure out how things work, what causes what, and what everything means. This isn't just about learning facts. It's about understanding the connections between things. It's our way of trying to build a map of reality in our minds, finding patterns and making sense of the chaos. Think about people from long ago. Thousands of years ago, humans didn't have science textbooks or the internet. They looked up at the stars and wondered, why are they there? They saw storms and asked, why does the thunder rumble? They asked why people got sick, why some plants grew and others didn't. They needed to understand these things to survive, to make tools, to figure out how to farm, or to find safe places to live. Back then, understanding why could mean the difference between life and death. This ancient curiosity, this deep need to know the reasons behind things, slowly built the foundations for what we now call science and philosophy. Famous thinkers like the ancient Greeks centuries ago spent their whole lives just asking why, about justice, happiness, and the universe. They knew that asking the right questions was the first step to finding any answers. You see this why in so many parts of our lives, even today. Think about a detective trying to solve a mystery. They keep asking, why did this happen? Until they find the answer. Or a scientist in a lab. They might ask, why does this chemical react this way? Until they discover a new medicine. Even when you're trying to figure out why your friend is upset, you're asking why to understand their feelings. This drive to ask why pushes us to learn, to explore, and to discover. It makes us inventors, artists, and problem solvers. It helps us grow, not just as individuals, but as a species. So, when those big why questions pop into your head at night, remember that it's a natural part of being human. It's not always about finding a perfect answer. Sometimes, the most important thing is the journey of asking itself. It shows you're curious, that you're thinking deeply about the world around you, and that you're trying to understand your place in it. It's a sign of a mind that's awake and seeking, and that's a pretty amazing thing. The patterns that show up everywhere. Have you ever noticed how some things just seem to repeat themselves? Not just in your daily routine, like waking up and going to school. I mean, bigger things, deeper things, like shapes you see over and over, or ideas that seem to pop up in different places, even across history. It's like the universe has its own favorite designs, its own special rhythm that plays out again and again. A pattern is just a design or sequence that repeats. Think about the stripes on a zebra, or the way waves crash on the shore, one after the other. Those are clear patterns. But patterns are everywhere, hidden in plain sight, if you know how to look. They show up in numbers, in nature, in how people act, and even in your own thoughts. For thousands of years, people have seen these patterns. Ancient astronomers watched the stars move in predictable paths, tracing the same shapes across the night sky every year. They saw the moon growing full and then fading, always in the same cycle. Early farmers noticed the seasons changing, always in the same order, bringing rain or sun at certain times. They learned to predict things because they saw the patterns. They realized that even though individual days felt different, there was a steady beat to the world, a grand rhythm happening all the time. Take nature, for example. Look at a fern leaf. Each small part of the leaf looks like a miniature version of the whole leaf. Or think about a tree branch. It splits into smaller branches, and those smaller branches split again, looking just like the bigger one. It's the same basic shape repeating, just on a smaller scale. This kind of repeating pattern, where a shape looks the same no matter how much you zoom in or out, is a deep part of nature's design. Or look at a sunflower. The tiny seeds inside grow in incredible spirals, and those spirals always follow a certain mathematical idea, making a beautiful, efficient design. You don't need to know the math name. Just see the amazing way nature builds things. Rivers branching out into deltas, clouds forming similar wispy shapes in the sky. The patterns are endless. Even in our own lives, patterns show up. Maybe you notice that whenever your favorite team wins, your school hallways are extra loud the next day. Or perhaps you see that people tend to smile when you smile at them, or that if you're kind, kindness often comes back to you. These are social patterns, ways we react that can become somewhat predictable. Our own habits are patterns too. The way you brush your teeth every morning, or the way you reach for your phone when you're bored. Your brain loves patterns. It uses them to make sense of the world and to know what to expect next. In science, we look for patterns all the time. Doctors look for patterns in symptoms to understand an illness. Scientists study how animals behave, looking for patterns in their actions to learn about them. And in psychology, we might notice patterns in how our minds work, or how our feelings cycle. Maybe you notice you feel tired after a big test, or happy after spending time with friends. These are small patterns in your own energy and emotions. The whole universe, in a way, is a giant collection of repeating themes and designs. From the tiny atoms that make up everything, to the massive galaxies spinning in space, there's a sense of repetition, a kind of echo. Here's the thing. Seeing these patterns can be a little mind-bending. It makes you wonder why they exist. Are they just random luck? Or do they point to some kind of hidden order in the universe? Does it mean everything is connected in ways we don't fully see yet? When you notice a pattern, it's like a secret message from the universe, telling you there's a deeper structure to things. It can make you feel a quiet wonder, like you're part of something vast and organized, even if you don't fully understand it. It's a reminder that even when things feel chaotic or random, there might be a grand design underneath it all. And that feeling, that sense of deep connection and order, can be pretty powerful when you're just trying to drift off to sleep. It makes you think about the amazing dance of existence, the time before time began. Have you ever tried to picture what was before everything? Before the stars, before the earth, before people, before even the idea of before existed? It's a really tough thought, almost impossible to hold in your mind. Because when we talk about the time before time began, we're not just talking about a really, really long time ago. We're talking about a moment when time itself, as we know it, wasn't even a thing. Think about a story. Every story has a start, right? Once upon a time. But what was there before the once upon a time? Was there a moment before the first word was ever written? Before the idea for the story even formed in the writer's head? That blank page, that empty space before anything started? That's a bit like what we're trying to imagine. It's not just a very early part of the story. It's a state where the story hasn't even begun to unfold, where time within the story isn't ticking yet. For a long time, people have wondered about this. Ancient thinkers and wise people in different cultures created myths and legends to try and explain it. Some stories say the world came from a giant egg, or from a watery chaos, or from a breath. These stories were their way of trying to make sense of something so huge and mysterious. Where did everything come from if there was nothing before it? Scientists today have their own way of looking at it, which is the Big Bang Theory. It's a bit like pressing play on a video game. Before you press play, there's no game world moving, no characters running around, no in-game clock ticking. The game world, and time within it, only starts when you hit that button. Scientists say our entire universe, everything we see, every galaxy, every planet, every living thing, started from an incredibly tiny, super-hot point that exploded outwards. This wasn't just an explosion in space. It was an explosion of space and time itself. Before that very first instant, before this bang, there wasn't a before in the way we usually think about it. Time, space, matter, they all began at that precise moment. It's a concept that feels impossible to fully grasp, because our brains are built to understand things that have beginnings and endings, things that happen one after another in a straight line. We're used to cause and effect, to past, present, and future. So, the idea of no time or no beginning before that first moment feels really strange, maybe even a little confusing or unsettling. It's like trying to imagine a color you've never seen, or a sound you've never heard. Our minds just don't have the right tools for it. But here's the thing about this strange idea. It can also be beautiful. It means that the fact that anything exists at all is truly amazing. Out of what seems like nothing, everything came to be. The universe, with all its wonder and mystery, is here. And we are here, too, experiencing it. This thought reminds us that every single moment we live, every sunrise, every laugh with friends, every time we learn something new, is incredibly special. It didn't have to be. The very existence of time, and our place within it, is a profound and quiet miracle. It encourages us to be curious, to keep asking big questions, and to appreciate the simple, deep wonder of being alive, right now, in this unfolding story. The feeling that you're always moving. Have you ever just sat really still, perhaps in your room or on a bench outside, and felt completely at rest? It's a peaceful feeling, right? Like nothing is changing, nothing is happening, just this quiet moment. But here's the thing. Even when you feel totally still, you are actually moving incredibly fast all the time, every single second. This might sound a little strange, but it's one of those deep truths about how the world works. For a long time, people believed the earth was the center of everything and stood perfectly still. It felt that way, so it must be true, right? We see the sun rise and set, so it looks like the sun is moving around us. But thinkers like Copernicus and Galileo helped us understand something amazing. The earth is actually spinning like a top, and it's also racing around the sun. And the sun itself isn't sitting still. It's hurtling through space as part of our galaxy, the Milky Way, which is also moving. So, you, right now, are on a giant spinning ball, flying through space at speeds you can barely imagine. Think about it like this. Imagine you're on a train, moving quickly down the tracks. If you close your eyes and just sit in your seat, you might feel like you're not moving at all. You could pour a glass of water, walk down the aisle, and everything inside the train feels normal, stable. But step off the train, and you realize how fast you are truly going. That train is like our Earth. We're on it, feeling still, but we're moving very, very fast compared to everything else out there in space. And it's not just big movements like planets. Even down to the smallest things, like the atoms that make up your body, everything is vibrating and moving. Your cells are constantly growing, dying, and renewing themselves. Your thoughts are always shifting, changing, forming new connections in your brain. So, even inside you, there's this constant hum of activity, a never-ending dance of tiny particles. This idea, that everything is always moving and changing, has been thought about by people for thousands of years. Some ancient thinkers said you can never step into the same river twice, because the water is always flowing, always different. It means that the world, and even you, are never exactly the same, from one moment to the next. The you, reading this sentence, is already slightly different from the you who started this paragraph. It's a subtle change, yes, but it's happening. This feeling, that we're always in motion, can be a little unsettling at first. It makes you realize that nothing is truly fixed or permanent, but maybe it can also be a little calming. It means that if something is hard right now, it won't stay that way forever. It will move. It will change. It reminds us that we are part of something much bigger, a cosmic journey, and that change is just a natural part of being alive. It's not about being lost. It's about being part of the universe's endless, beautiful dance. And that's okay. You're just moving along with it, every single moment. What if feelings aren't real? Think about the last time you felt really happy, or maybe super frustrated. You know, like when your favorite team loses, or you get that great grade you worked for. Those feelings feel so real, right? Like a solid thing inside you, pushing you or making you glow. But what if they aren't? What if they're more like reflections or echoes instead of the real thing? This isn't about saying you don't feel things. You absolutely do. We all experience joy, sadness, anger, fear. The idea here is to wonder what those feelings actually are. Are they definite physical things that exist on their own? Or are they powerful, but temporary, signals your brain sends out, and how you interpret those signals? Imagine your feelings are like the colors you see on a screen. The colors seem real, right? Red is red, blue is blue. But deep down, they are just light signals, pixels turning on and off in different ways. Your brain is a bit like that screen. It takes in information, what you see, hear, think, and then creates these amazing, vibrant experiences we call feelings. So the feeling isn't a solid object you can hold, but an experience created by your brain. For thousands of years, smart thinkers have wondered about this. Way back, some Greek thinkers, like the Stoics, believed that many of our feelings, especially the strong, upsetting ones, weren't facts. They thought these feelings were more like opinions or judgments we made about what was happening. If you thought something was terrible, you'd feel terrible. But if you changed your mind about it, the feeling might change too. They weren't saying, don't feel, but question what you feel. They saw feelings as reactions to our thoughts, not solid, unchangeable truths. And here's the thing today. Modern science gives us another way to look at it. When you feel anxious, for example, your brain releases chemicals like cortisol. When you're happy, it's dopamine. So, in a way, feelings are physical events in your body. Your brain is sending signals. It's like when your phone vibrates. That's a physical action. But the feeling of the message itself isn't a solid thing you can hold. It's information, processed by your phone and then by you. Think about a roller coaster. You strap in, and your stomach drops. Your body pushes against the seat. You scream. Your heart races. You feel scared, excited, thrilled all at once. But is that fear real in the same way the seatbelt is real? The physical sensations are real. Your stomach dropping, your heart beating fast. But the feeling of fear or excitement is how your brain labels those sensations. It's your mind's way of understanding what's happening to your body. If you knew the ride was perfectly safe and just closed your eyes and focused on your breathing, would you still feel the same intense fear? Or would it just be a strange, powerful sensation? It shows how our thoughts and interpretations play a huge role in what feelings we experience. Or imagine you're playing a video game. You're trying to beat a really tough level, and you keep failing. You feel frustrated, maybe even angry. Your hands might grip the controller tightly, but then you realize it's just a game, and you put the controller down, take a deep breath. Did the anger vanish, or did you just stop feeding the thoughts that created it? The feeling itself wasn't a permanent thing that stayed with you. It was tied to that specific situation and how you were reacting to it. You can almost turn down or turn off certain feelings by changing what you focus on, or how you think about a situation. This doesn't make the feelings fake, but it shows they are not always solid or completely in charge. So, if feelings aren't solid, unchanging things, what does that mean for us? It doesn't mean your joy isn't wonderful, or your sadness isn't important. It just means they might be more like clouds passing in the sky. They are there, they are powerful, they can even bring rain or sunshine. But they are always moving, always changing shape and disappearing. They aren't the sky itself. They are experiences that happen within you, not permanent parts of who you are. This idea can be really freeing. It means you don't have to be controlled by every strong feeling that comes along. You can observe them, understand them, and know that they will shift and change, just like the weather. It reminds us that while we feel deeply, we are also more than our feelings. We are the ones observing them, the ones who can choose how to react to them. And that's a pretty powerful thought to sit with, a quiet truth that might just help you settle down and drift off to sleep. The power of just one idea. Have you ever just sat quietly, maybe before falling asleep, and found your mind drifting? Sometimes, without even trying, a thought pops into your head. It might seem small, even silly. But here's the thing. That one single thought, that one idea, has a secret power. It holds more energy than you might realize. It's like a tiny seed that can grow into a giant tree, or a single drop of water that can become a vast ocean. When we talk about the power of just one idea, we mean that a single thought, born in one mind, can change everything. It can change how you feel, how you act, or even how the entire world works. It's about the ripple effect. One small stone thrown into a pond creates waves that spread out, touching everything around it. An idea works the same way. It starts small, but its effects can become incredibly large. Think about it this way. Almost everything around you, everything we use and rely on, started as just one idea in someone's head. The idea of electric light, for example. Before light bulbs, people used candles or gas lamps. But someone had an idea. What if we could make light by sending electricity through a thin wire? That idea, born from curiosity, led to experiments, failures, and then eventually, working light bulbs. And that's why we have bright rooms at night today. Or consider a more everyday example. Imagine you're trying to build something with Legos, and you're stuck. You've tried everything, but it just won't work. Then suddenly, a new idea pops into your head. What if I just tried putting this one piece here instead? It's a tiny shift, a simple change in perspective. But that one idea might unlock the whole problem, allowing you to finish your creation. That's the power we're talking about. It's not always about inventing something huge. Sometimes, it's just a new way of looking at a puzzle, or a better way to solve a math problem, or even a different approach to talking with a friend. Historically, this idea power has shifted entire societies. The very idea that everyone deserves to be treated fairly, that every person has rights, wasn't always accepted. For a long time, people believed that some were born to rule and others to serve. But then, brave thinkers dared to imagine a different world. They shared the idea of equality and justice. This simple yet profound idea traveled from person to person, growing stronger, until it sparked revolutions and changed laws, slowly bringing us closer to the fairer world we strive for today. It started as just a whisper in someone's mind, a quiet question about what could be. Even in our own minds, one idea can be incredibly powerful. If you're feeling down, one helpful thought, like, maybe I'll just go for a short walk, can be the first step towards feeling better. Or if you're facing a big test, the idea that I can learn this, one step at a time, can give you the push you need to start studying. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, it's a mental shift, a tiny switch that changes your path. So, as you lie there, letting thoughts drift in and out, remember this quiet truth. Every single one of us is a factory of ideas. We might not always notice them, and most will simply float away like clouds. But some of them, just one of them, might hold a hidden spark. That spark could change your day, your week, or even, in some quiet, profound way, the world around you. Your thoughts have a silent strength, a potential to create, to connect, to simply be. And that is a comforting thought, isn't it? How you see things changes everything. Have you ever looked at a cloud and seen a dragon, while your friend saw a fluffy dog? Or heard a song and felt happy, but someone next to you felt sad? Here's the thing. The world around us isn't just a fixed picture. It's something we build in our minds, moment by moment. What we experience isn't just what our eyes see or our ears hear. It's shaped by so much more, by what we expect, by our past, by how we feel right now. This idea that how we see things changes everything is super important. It's about something called perception. Think of it like this. Your brain is a movie director. It takes all the raw footage from your senses, sights, sounds, smells, and then it edits that footage. It adds background music, special effects, and even cuts out parts it thinks aren't important. The movie you watch is your reality. But another director, another brain, might make a totally different movie from the exact same raw footage. People have thought about this for thousands of years. Ancient thinkers, like those in Greece, wondered if what we see is truly real, or just how our minds make sense of things. They even used stories, like a famous one about people in a cave seeing only shadows, to explore this idea. Their point was that we might only be seeing part of the truth, or a version of it shaped by our own cave walls. Let's try a quick mind game. Imagine a drawing. In this drawing, some people clearly see the face of a young woman looking away, but others, looking at the exact same lines, just as clearly see an old woman with a big nose and a chin. It's the same picture, the same lines on paper, yet how you see it depends on what your brain focuses on, what patterns it's used to seeing, or even what someone tells you to look for first. If I tell you to find the young woman, you might see her right away. If I tell you to find the old woman, suddenly she appears. This isn't just a trick of the eye. It works for feelings, too. Think about a school presentation. One student might see it as a terrifying challenge, filled with chances to mess up. Another student, doing the exact same presentation, might see it as an exciting chance to share what they know, a way to connect with classmates. The situation is identical, but their perception of it, shaped by their confidence, their past experiences with speaking, their current mood, makes it feel completely different. One person's fear is another's excitement. And it's not just about what's good or bad. It's about what we notice. If you're really into cars, you'll suddenly see all kinds of different cars on the road that you never noticed before. If you're thinking about getting a new phone, you start seeing ads for that phone everywhere, even though they were probably there all along. Your brain, like a spotlight, shines its light on certain things and leaves others in the dark. So, here's what this means for us. The world around us isn't simply out there. It's also in here, inside our heads. Our personal experiences, our memories, our feelings, and our beliefs all act like filters that change the way we see everything. Understanding this can help you in a big way. It helps you realize that when someone sees things differently than you, it's not because one of you is wrong. It's because you both have different directors, different brains, making different movies from the same raw footage of life. It teaches us to be a little more patient, a little more understanding, and a lot more curious about how others experience the world, and even how our own minds shape our personal reality. The fact that we're all connected somehow. Have you ever stopped to think about how everything around us, and even us ourselves, might be linked together in ways we don't always see? Imagine the whole world, every person, every animal, every tiny particle, as part of one giant, intricate web. That's kind of what it means when we talk about being all connected. It's not just about how you're friends with someone online or how your family is related. It's much bigger than that. Here's the thing. From a scientific view, we literally share molecules with everything. The air you just breathed might have been inside a dinosaur millions of years ago. The water you drink might have once flowed in a river far across the world. And believe it or not, the very atoms that make up your body were once forged in distant stars that exploded billions of years ago. That's a deep kind of connection, a physical one that ties us to the entire universe's history. It means we're made of stardust, and so is everything else. But it's not just physical. Think about ideas and actions. There's a concept often called the butterfly effect. The idea is that a tiny change in one place, like a butterfly flapping its wings, can eventually lead to huge changes somewhere else, like a hurricane forming. It's a way of saying that even the smallest things can have big, unexpected consequences. This can help you understand how connected we are. For example, imagine you decide to be extra kind to someone at school today. Maybe you share your lunch, or you offer to help them with a tough homework problem. That person feels good. They might then carry that good feeling forward, being nicer to their family when they get home, or smiling at a stranger on the street. That stranger, in turn, might have a slightly better day because of that smile, and so on. Your small act of kindness ripples outwards, touching people you might never even meet. It's a chain reaction of positive energy. And it works the other way too. Think about something that happens far away, like a big storm in another country, or a new invention being created. That storm might affect how much food can be grown, which then affects prices in your local grocery store. That new invention could change the way people communicate all over the globe, which affects how you learn about the world. We live in a world where news travels instantly, where goods are shipped from every corner, and where ideas spread like wildfire. Everything you use, from your phone to your clothes, probably has parts or materials that came from many different countries, made by countless hands. This idea of being connected isn't new. Ancient thinkers and philosophers from all over the world, long before modern science, talked about the unity of everything. They believed that despite our differences, we are all part of one living system, one great consciousness. They felt that treating others well wasn't just a rule, but a natural consequence of understanding that we are all extensions of each other. They taught that everything you do, say, or even think sends out energy into the world, affecting the shared fabric of existence. So, what does this mean for you, right now? It means that your actions, big or small, matter. They don't just affect you, or your family, or your friends. They contribute to the grand, ongoing story of everything. It means we are never truly alone, or separate. We are woven into something vast and timeless. Knowing this can feel both humbling and incredibly powerful. It can make you feel more a part of the world, more responsible for it, and perhaps a little less alone when you're trying to fall asleep. It's a quiet truth that echoes deep inside us all. The sound of nothing. Have you ever really, truly listened to silence? Not just a quiet room, but a place where there's almost nothing to hear at all? It's a strange thing, isn't it? We often think of nothing as just the absence of something, like an empty box or a blank page. But when we talk about the sound of nothing, or even the idea of nothing, it gets a lot more interesting and a little mind-bending. Here's the thing about nothing. It's really hard to find. Even if you go to the quietest place on earth, like a special soundproof room, you'd still hear things. You'd hear your own heartbeat. You'd hear the blood flowing in your ears. Maybe even the tiny creaks and groans of your own body. So, is that really nothing? Or is it just a different kind of sound? For thousands of years, thinkers and philosophers have been puzzled by the idea of nothing. They've wondered if true nothingness can even exist. Imagine the very beginning of everything. Before the stars, before the planets, before even time itself. What was there? Was it just nothing? Or was it something so completely different from what we know that we can't even picture it? Some ancient Greek thinkers, like Parmenides, argued that nothing cannot exist because to think of it, you have to think of something. And if you're thinking of something, then it's not really nothing, is it? It's a thought. Other cultures, like some Eastern philosophies, talk about emptiness, not as an empty space, but as a space full of potential where everything can arise. It's like a stage before the play begins. It seems empty, but it's ready for anything. Think about outer space for a moment. When you see pictures of deep space, it looks like vast, empty blackness, like nothing. But here's what I found. Even space isn't truly nothing. It has tiny particles floating around. It has faint light from distant stars. There's invisible dust and radiation and the mysterious force called dark energy. So, even the emptiness of space isn't perfectly empty. It's full of hidden things. Or think about trying to clear your mind. Maybe you've heard people talk about meditation, trying to just sit quietly and think of nothing. But how hard is that? Even when you try to empty your mind, thoughts still pop up. A song might get stuck in your head. You might remember something you need to do later. Your mind is like a busy street, and it's hard to just make all the cars disappear. The quiet moments in our minds often reveal the hum of our own thoughts, our own inner voice, reminding us that we are always something, always present. So maybe the sound of nothing isn't a sound at all. Maybe it's the quiet hum of existence itself. It's the space where we stop hearing the noise of the world and start to notice the subtle rhythms of our own being. It's the quiet hum before a new idea sparks, or the soft breathing before sleep. It's not scary or empty in a bad way. Instead, it's a gentle reminder that even when things feel like nothing, there's always a quiet potential, a soft presence waiting for something new to begin. And that's why it matters. Why you can't go back to yesterday. Have you ever had a day you wished you could just live again? Maybe it was a perfect day at the beach, or a fun afternoon with friends, or even just a moment you messed up and wanted to fix. You might close your eyes and wish, really wish, you could hit a rewind button and be right back there. But here's the thing. You can't, and that's not just a sad thought. It's a deep truth about our universe. Think about it this way. Time only moves in one direction. It's like an arrow flying forward. It never stops, it never turns around, and it never slows down. Every single second that passes is gone forever, replaced by the next second. This idea that time always goes forward is one of the most basic rules of how everything works. We call it the arrow of time sometimes. It means every event, every tiny thing that happens, is unique to that moment. Once it's happened, it's done. You can remember it, you can talk about it, but you can never actually step back into it. People have thought about this for thousands of years. Long ago, wise thinkers observed the world around them. They saw how rivers always flowed downstream, never upstream. They noticed how a flame would burn wood, turning it into ash, and that ash could never become wood again. They understood that everything changes all the time. Nothing truly stays the same from one moment to the next. The river you step into today is not the same river you stepped into yesterday, because new water has flowed by. And the you who steps into that river is not the same you either. Here's an example closer to home. Imagine you eat a delicious slice of pizza. You smell the cheese, taste the sauce, feel the warm crust. That experience is real. It's happening right now. But once you've eaten it, the pizza is gone. You can't uneat it. You can't go back to the exact moment before you took that first bite and have it all fresh again. Your body has processed it. The moment has passed. You might have another slice, but it will be a new slice, a new moment. It's also true for how we grow and change. Every single conversation you have, every book you read, every mistake you make, and every good thing that happens to you changes you just a little bit. Think about the first day of 8th grade. You walked into that building as one person. By the end of the day, you'd had new experiences, met new people, learned new things. Even if they were small things, they became part of your memory, part of who you are. The you who left school was not exactly the same you who arrived that morning. You can't go back to the you from the beginning of the day, because that day has shaped you. Even in science, we see this truth. Things tend to become more spread out or messy over time, not tidier. If you drop a glass, it shatters into many pieces. You can try to glue it back together, but it will never be the exact same glass it was before. It's changed permanently. This is a basic rule of the universe, that things don't just put themselves back together perfectly or go backwards. So, why can't we go back to yesterday? Because yesterday is woven into the fabric of today. It built the you that exists right now. Every moment that has passed has shaped what is happening in this very instant. It's not about loss, but about constant movement and creation. This continuous forward motion means life is always fresh, always new. We don't get to press rewind, but that means every sunrise is a brand new start. Every breath is a fresh chance. And even though yesterday is gone, the lessons, the joy, and the person you became because of it are all right here, right now, moving forward with you. It's a reminder to appreciate each moment, because it's truly one of a kind. The endless loop of day and night. Have you ever stopped to really think about the sun? Not just that it rises and sets, but what that means. Every single morning, no matter what happened the day before, the sun comes up. And every single evening it goes down. This has happened for billions of years, long before any of us were here, and it will keep happening long after. It's a never-ending cycle, a perfect, unbroken loop. Here's the thing. Our entire world is filled with these loops. It's not just day turning into night. Think about the seasons. Spring always follows winter. Summer always follows spring. And then autumn comes, leading us back to winter again. This happens year after year, like a giant clock that never stops ticking. The moon circles the earth, changing from a sliver to a full circle, then back again, over and over. Ocean tides roll in and out, pushed by the moon's pull, forever. For a long, long time, people have looked at these patterns and wondered about them. Ancient thinkers and early humans who spent their lives outside saw these loops clearly. They watched the sun, the moon, and the stars. They built huge stone circles, like Stonehenge, to track these movements. They knew that when the sun was at its highest point in summer, a colder season would eventually arrive. They saw that even after the darkest winter, new life would always burst forth in spring. And that's why it matters. For them, these loops weren't just about time passing. They felt like a deep truth about the universe itself. It was like the world was showing them that everything has a beginning and an end, but also that everything that ends can begin again. It's a constant dance of change and return. Some old stories and ideas even wondered if time itself was a giant circle, meaning everything that ever happened would happen again, exactly the same way, in an endless cosmic replay. It might sound a little strange or even a bit mind-bending to think about, but here's a way to picture it. Think about a common cycle in your own life, like the school year. You start a new grade in the fall. You learn new things. You have exams. Holidays happen. And before you know it, summer comes. Then, poof, the next fall, you start another new grade. It's not exactly the same, but the pattern of starting, learning, finishing, and restarting a new grade year after year is a loop you know well. Or consider the water cycle. Rain falls, water goes into rivers and oceans. The sun heats it up and it turns into vapor. It forms clouds, and then it rains again. It's the same water, just moving through a never-ending path. So here's what happened. This constant repetition, this endless loop, can make you feel a certain way. On one hand, it's comforting. It means that no matter how difficult a day might be, night will fall. And then a new morning will always follow. There's always a chance to start fresh, to try again. The sun will always rise. And that's pretty reassuring. But on the other hand, it also means things keep going, whether we want them to or not. Time marches on, the cycles spin, and we are just small parts within this huge, ongoing motion. It can make you think about how precious each moment is, because even though the big loops keep turning, your own experience within them is unique and fleeting. The endless loop of day and night isn't just about what happens outside your window. It's a quiet reminder that change is constant, but so is return. And maybe, in that quiet rhythm, there's a kind of peace, a gentle nudge to appreciate the light while it's here, knowing the dark will pass, and the light will return once more. The world was here before you saw it. Have you ever stopped to think about what the world was doing just before you opened your eyes this morning? Or even before you were born into it? It's a strange thought, isn't it? Sometimes, without really meaning to, we can feel like the world begins when we become aware of it. Like when you walk into a room, and suddenly, that room and everything in it seems to truly exist. But here's the thing. That room was there all along. The books on your shelf didn't vanish when you left for school, and your bed didn't disappear just because you weren't sleeping in it. They were simply waiting. This idea stretches far beyond your bedroom. It's about the entire universe. Long, long before any human being walked on Earth, before even the first tiny life wiggled in ancient waters, the universe was already there. Stars were forming. Galaxies were spinning. Planets were coming together from dust and gas. There were vast oceans on Earth, towering mountains, and deep valleys, all before any eyes saw them or any mind named them. This is an existential truth. The world, in all its immense reality, existed independently of you. It didn't need your awareness to be real. Think about the dinosaurs. They roamed the earth millions of years ago, long before humans even existed. No one was there to see a Tyrannosaurus Rex stomp through a jungle or a pterodactyl soar across the sky. Yet we know they were real. Their bones, fossilized in rock, tell us their story. The very ground you walk on, the air you breathe, these things have been here for billions of years, slowly changing, slowly evolving, without needing anyone to witness their silent, grand journey. Philosophers, people who think deeply about the world, have thought about this for thousands of years. They wondered, is reality only what we see and touch and hear? Or does it exist outside our senses? Most agree that it exists outside of us. Imagine a giant old oak tree growing deep in a forest where no human has ever set foot. If that tree falls in a storm, does it make a sound? Well, the physical vibrations happen. The wood cracks, the leaves rustle, the tree does fall. Whether a person hears it or not, the event still occurs. The tree was there, growing, living, and then falling, regardless of any observer. Its existence isn't tied to your presence. This realization can feel a little humbling, a little awe-inspiring. It means you are stepping into a story that began long, long ago. You are not the beginning of the world, but a part of its ongoing journey. It means there are countless moments, places, and creatures that have existed and continue to exist, completely outside of your personal experience. This vast, silent, independent reality surrounds you always. It's like walking into a massive library that has existed for centuries. Every book on every shelf holds a story, a history, a world. Whether you've read it or not, your life is one new chapter being written in an incredibly old, ongoing book. Knowing this can make your life feel even more special, a brief, bright spark in an ancient, endless universe. It reminds you that you are connected to something far grander than yourself, something that was here, waiting, long before you saw it. And it will continue long after. This thought might not help you fall asleep, but it might just make you look at the world around you with a deeper sense of wonder and belonging. Your own private world inside your skull. Have you ever stopped to think about where your world truly exists? Not the big, wide world outside, with its towering trees and noisy streets, but your world. The one you see, hear, feel, and think about every single second of every day. Where does all that happen? Here's the thing. Everything you experience, every color you see, every sound you hear, every taste on your tongue, every touch on your skin, it all takes place inside your head. It's not actually out there in the way you might imagine. Your brain takes in signals from your eyes, ears, nose, and skin, and then it builds a picture of reality for you, right inside your skull. It's your very own private show, playing just for you. Imagine the world as a huge, busy stage, but you're not sitting in the audience looking at the stage directly. Instead, you have a special camera that sends video, audio, and even smell signals back to a tiny, dark room in your head. In that room, your brain takes all those signals and projects them onto a screen, adding in all the feelings and thoughts too. What you see on that screen is your personal version of reality. Nobody else gets to see your screen. People have been wondering about this for a very long time. Thousands of years ago, smart thinkers asked questions like, how do I know what I'm seeing is real and not just a trick of my mind? They realized that we can only know the world through our senses and our thoughts. And those senses and thoughts are always personal. They are processed and built by our brain, not someone else's. Think about a time you had a really vivid dream. Maybe you were flying, or solving a mystery, or talking to someone you miss. While you were dreaming, it felt completely real, didn't it? You could see the colors, hear the sounds, feel the emotions. But when you woke up, you realized it was all just in your head. Your brain had created an entire world, complete with its own rules, just for you to experience. That dream world, as real as it felt, was a perfect example of your own private world. Here's another example. Imagine you and a friend both watch the same movie. You might laugh at different jokes, or one of you might feel sad at a part the other doesn't even notice. Maybe you both think a character is a hero, but your friend thinks they're just lucky. You're both looking at the same screen, hearing the same sounds. But your brain takes that information and mixes it with your memories, your feelings, your past experiences, and your own unique way of thinking. So, the movie becomes a slightly different experience for each of you. It becomes part of your private world. This idea means that every single person walking around has their own unique world playing inside their head. Your friend's world, your teacher's world, your family's world, they are all slightly different from yours. They see the same sky, hear the same music, but their brain builds it in a way that is unique to them. It's like we're all looking at the same landscape through slightly different colored glasses. This is a deep thought, but it's not a scary one. In fact, it's pretty amazing. It means you are truly one of a kind. Your thoughts, your feelings, your view of the world, they are yours alone. But it also teaches us something important. Since everyone has their own private world, it means we should try even harder to understand each other. What seems clear to you might look completely different to someone else. It reminds us to be curious about how others see things, to listen carefully, and to remember that what's real for them is just as real as what's real for you. It's a wonderful secret shared by every mind. The big questions no one can answer. Have you ever laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, and suddenly found your mind drifting to the really, really big questions? Not questions about tomorrow's math test or what's for dinner. I mean questions that make your brain buzz. Questions about everything. These are what we call existential questions. Existential just means having to do with existence, with being alive, with the world we live in, and our place in it. They're the questions that almost feel too big to ask out loud, because honestly, no one has the complete answer. People have been asking these kinds of questions for thousands of years. Think about ancient Greek thinkers sitting under olive trees, trying to figure out why we're here. Or people from long ago, looking up at the stars, wondering if there was anything beyond what they could see. Every culture, every group of people, throughout history, has looked for answers to these same deep mysteries. They created stories, myths, and different ways of thinking, what we now call philosophy or religion, all trying to make sense of things. They weren't trying to solve a puzzle with one right answer. They were trying to understand the feeling of being alive and what it all means. So, what are some of these big questions? Maybe you've thought, why am I here? What's my purpose in this vast universe? Or, what truly happens after we die? Does our consciousness just stop? Or does something else begin? Or, is there an end to the universe? Or does it just keep going forever, expanding into something we can't even imagine? It's like when you're standing on a wide open beach, looking at a single grain of sand. It's so small, right? But then you try to think about the whole beach, and then all the beaches in the world, and suddenly, that one grain feels part of something impossibly huge, something beyond our easy understanding. And then you wonder, what about me? How do I fit into all of that? Another way to think about it. Imagine watching a tiny ant. It's incredibly busy, moving dirt, finding bits of food, living its whole life in its small ant world. It doesn't know about cities or countries or the entire planet Earth. We are a bit like that ant, in a way, living our daily lives. But sometimes we get a sudden glimpse of how much bigger and stranger everything else might be, far beyond our immediate sight. Even in science, which tries to explain everything, we find these questions. We can describe how gravity works, how it pulls things down. But why does gravity exist in the first place? Why that specific force, that specific strength? Scientists can measure it perfectly, but the fundamental why can still feel like a profound mystery. Or think about your own mind. You make decisions every day, what to wear, what to say, what to do. It feels like it's your choice, completely free. But then you might wonder, what if all our choices are part of a bigger plan we can't see? What if everything is somehow already set in motion? That question about free will versus destiny has puzzled thinkers for centuries. These questions don't have simple, easy answers you can just look up in a book or on the internet. And here's the thing. That's perfectly okay. In fact, the more we learn about the world, the more we realize how much we still truly don't know, and how much is still beyond our grasp. Sometimes, the most comforting answers aren't answers at all, but a deep feeling of wonder. It's about feeling small, yes, but also connected to something vast, something beautiful, and something incredibly mysterious that stretches far beyond our everyday lives. It's about knowing that even though we are tiny specks in the grand scheme of things, our minds have this amazing ability to ask these questions, to feel this deep curiosity. And that ability, that spark of wonder, makes us truly unique and special. So, the next time you find yourself lying there, staring at the ceiling, letting your mind wander to these big, unanswerable questions, don't feel troubled or worried that you can't solve them. Instead, feel curious, feel alive, Because in simply asking these questions, you're not just struggling to fall asleep, you're actually waking up to the incredible depth and mystery of existence itself. It's a quiet reminder that life holds wonders and mysteries far grander than anything we can fully grasp or understand. And sometimes, just sitting with that mystery, with that feeling of not knowing everything, can be a really quiet, surprisingly powerful comfort. What if this isn't the only life you get? Sometimes late at night, when the house is quiet and your mind is still buzzing, a big question might float into your thoughts. It's a question that has puzzled people for thousands of years. What if this isn't the only life you get? What if, somehow, your journey continues beyond just these years you're living right now? This idea is something many cultures around the world have explored. It's often called reincarnation or rebirth. It's not about being magically swapped for someone else, but more like the idea that what makes you, maybe your spirit, your consciousness, your very essence, might live more than once. Not necessarily coming back as the same person in a different time, but perhaps as a new being, carrying forward some kind of learning or experience from a previous existence. It's a bit like a story unfolding over many chapters, where each chapter is a life, but the main character, that core part of you, keeps going. Think about a tiny seed. This seed holds everything needed to become a big, strong tree. It gets planted, it grows, it lives its life, and then, eventually, it produces its own seeds. Those new seeds fall to the ground, and they grow into new trees, continuing the cycle. The first tree isn't exactly the same as the new ones, but its essence, its blueprint, its way of continuing life, is passed on. The tree doesn't die completely. Its story simply transforms and begins again in a new form, carrying forward the memory of its kind. And that's kind of what this idea suggests for us. What if our lives are like those trees? We live, we learn, we experience, and then, maybe, our essence moves on to a new beginning, a new opportunity to learn and grow in a different way. It's not about remembering past lives like a movie you watched. It's more about the idea that the lessons, the kindness you showed, the growth you went through, might contribute to a deeper, ongoing story for your soul. This thought isn't meant to be scary or confusing. It's more about opening your mind to a possibility that is much bigger than we usually think about. If this life isn't the only one, then maybe every choice you make, every person you meet, every lesson you learn here, has a deeper meaning. Maybe it's all part of a much larger journey, a grand adventure, where your spirit gathers experiences and wisdom over vast stretches of time. It makes you think about how valuable each moment is, and how deeply connected we might all be, not just in this life, but across something much, much longer. It's a calm thought, one that suggests perhaps there's more to our existence than we can ever fully grasp in just one go.